What's up, everybody in the chat? Happy Tuesday. I'm so glad that you guys are here on another Lapeef Politics. Amir, what's up? How are you doing today?
Hey, Chaotic. I heard you were talking about my people, so I had to make an appearance.
Absolutely. It seems like your people are going through a bit of a quote unquote revolution over in Iran. Um, a young lady named Mahala, I'm probably saying it wrong, but Masala Amini, not Masala, Masa Amini, um, Iranian woman. She was in court in what is called the morality court. And if people do not know, but Iran is a Arab Muslim country. Um, it is not a free country in terms of scale with America. Um, in Iran, women are required to wear an hijab, and if a woman is caught without an hijab or caught driving, she can be arrested, fined, and imprisoned. Maybe a couple of days, maybe a month, depending on the severity. And I mean severity, whether she's a multiple time non hijab wearer. Um, but this woman was in morality court because, from what I've researched, she refused to wear her hijab or she wasn't with an hijab. She passes out in court, and it's on video. She's speaking with a woman, looks to be like a middle aged woman. She passes out. She is taken to the hospital. She is in what is believed to be police custody of sorts, where the police were in the hospital, but nevertheless, she died. And now, because of her death, it has sparked a campaign of sorts. And this campaign is women taking off their hijabs, women burning, not burning, but women burning their hijabs, women cutting their hair off. There have been daily protests over the past week in Iran. And in my opinion, in my opinion, the the woman's death was, it could have been at this point anything happening or anything that happened to set this catalyst off. I believe that Iran is, in my opinion, going through a bit of westernization, i.e., social media. They're influenced by a lot of Western media in terms of American media primarily. And now women over there, uh, in my opinion, they're looking at America. They're looking at what's taking place over here. The women are looking at the women over here. And they, in my opinion, they would like to be like Western women. It's just my opinion. And my opinion is this: if you are Iranian, if you are listening to this, stop it. Stop. You have an ancient culture that goes back thousands of years. Your history, your literature, your music, your art goes back thousands of years. It predates the United States of America by thousands of years. You have an actual culture, and your culture, for the most part, has been stable. And when you allow Western ideology, and mind you, I'm a proud American, I love this country, but I know the faults of America and also of the West. When you allow Western ideology to creep into your society, you're going to have women in the street walking around half naked. You're going to have an increase in single motherhood. You're going to have a lot of debauchery is going to take place over there if you continue this. Put your hijabs back on. Stop trying to introduce this feminist ideology in Iran Your culture has protected you for thousands of years. When you take that hijab off, you are pretty much taking off the veil of femininity in exchange of promiscuity. You see, the women in the West, they don't dress up as a whole. The women in the West, in my opinion, want to be men, but they don't want the responsibility of men. And when something happens, they can easily blame their situation on a man or a system. You don't have that in Iran. See, the system in place in Iran is the hijab, is your conservative dress and attire, which is cultural and religious, or it's a religious aspect of your society. The last thing you want to be is an American woman. The last thing you want to be is any type of Western woman. Women in the West are promiscuous. Women in the West are not conservative. And those are facts. That's not even an opinion. Those are just facts. Yes, you have some conservative women. My wife is one of them. My mom is one of them. But generally speaking, you don't really have a lot of conservative women. A lot of women now are liberals. A lot of women now are man-hating. A lot of women now will blame their entire life's failures on a man. They will sleep with as many men as possible and blame it on a man. They will have 5 kids out of wedlock and blame it on a man. They will walk down the street with panties on and proclaim that no one should look at them. That is the Western mindset. If you are Iranian, do not fall for this Western lunacy. I'm a Western person, and I'm telling you, do not take off your hijabs. That's what makes you beautiful. And I mean beautiful in a divine manner. Women in the West aren't divine, generally speaking. They're seen as sexual objects in the West. They objectify themselves in the West. There's nothing good about what is going on here in America. So just because our country, we have more, fancier buildings and fancier cars and fancier clothes, don't get fooled by those things. There's a lot of debauchery going on here in America. And I'll admit it. I'll admit my pride all day for America, but I'll also admit the debauchery. You have a lot of women who want to be men. You have a lot of women who do everything to undermine the nuclear family. You have a lot of women in the West who do everything to undermine male leadership. And that's what they're trying to do in Iran. I've never been to Iran. I knew a few Iranians back in the day, but I've never been there. Don't get caught up in this bullshit. If you are a young lady in Iran, don't cut your beautiful hair. If you are a woman in Iran, don't take off your hijab. Again, now I do not know the circumstances of that woman's death, though tragic, should not lead you down a path of trying to following Western ideology in terms of what you think a woman is. It's not freedom here in terms of walking around being promiscuous and talking about I'm a bad bitch. That is not freedom. That is make-believe. And these little thoughts you see on social media, these OnlyFans prostitutes, that is shameful. And I don't want you, Iranian people or Iranian women, to fall into that. The one thing I can say about being a conservative myself is when I look at cultures such as a culture like your culture, a culture that prides themselves on conservative values, It inspires me to be even more conservative. But don't take off the very same thing that makes you a conservative woman. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't turn your beautiful country into the idiocracy that we have over in the West, particularly America. You have women in America, literally, women will wear a thong in America, and they will walk down the street, and if a man looks at them, a woman will get on Twitter and say, "Men are harassing me. Men are catcalling me." Don't you see the idiocracy there? Now you have it in America now where men don't even want to have meetings with women alone in an office room. A lot of men now don't even look at a woman's way now. Don't create the same type of hostile environment that is here over in your country. Don't do it. Your country has functioned for thousands of years off of ancient traditions, which I agree with. The only man who should be looking at your hair is your husband. The only time you should be dressed a certain way provocatively is when you are in the company of your husband. Don't take off the veil of conservative values for some little movement that's only going to last a week. Your people are great people. The Iranians, that's a ancient culture. I believe that's the Babylon. Is that the Babylonians or the Assyrians, Amir? Which one is that? You're on mute, Amir. Which culture is that? What are they? Those the Iranians are the descendants of the Babylonians, correct?
Persian.
The Persians. Sorry, the Persians.
Kurdish, Persians, Syrians.
Your ancestors once were world powers, the Medes and the Persians. Now that I think about it, yeah. Don't mess that up. Trying to adopt lesbianism. And that's all what that feminist movement is pretty much lesbianism. It's debauchery. It's shameful. And I don't care who doesn't agree with me at this point. I don't care if you're upset. Oh, he doesn't like lesbians. It destroys a culture. Nuclear families are superior. And that's one thing that you have done well for a long time, particularly in the Arab culture. The family structure. You want to break that up for some Twitter hashtag movement? Stop it. Don't do it. Your people are ancient. They are great people. Don't try to be like these valley girls in America. Don't try to be like these little hood rats in America because you see it on Instagram. That's not cute. Don't burn your hijab. Go ahead, Amir. Go ahead. Amir, you got the floor. Go ahead.
I love your take on all of this. This is a different take than I thought you would give us. But the Iranians have, for a long time, they have practiced a different kind of Islam. So if you go back in their culture, during the times of the Shah, there were different rules for hair covering. There was times when Iranian women, it was illegal to cover your hair. It was illegal to wear the hijab. Then they have their new leader who says it's illegal to take it off. Iran has gone back and forth between liberal and conservative for, you could say, generations, centuries, whatever. The take that you have on the Iranian people is very, very dreamlike. They are not what you would consider conservative in their core values. The reason I say this is because the Persian people that I know, you could say Persian, Iranian, whatever, when they leave Iran, they are typically the most loose, the most untraditional, the most liberal people you'll ever see.
Let me get a mirror up out of here. No, I'm sorry, Mirror. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the floor.
You the truth. I mean, I understand that you see it in such a a dream world, but the Iranian people, let me tell you, in their country, they believe in temporary marriages. Temporary marriages where you can get married for a week. You can get married for 24 hours. What I mean, you saying that the hijab is making them conservative is wrong, sir. And I don't disagree with you, but I'm going to tell you you're wrong. The hijab does not make a person conservative. Just because you cover your hair does not make you an angel, a saint, or whatever what you were trying to say to the point. These women, especially in Iran, the street workers, I don't want to say the word, but the street workers cover their hair. And what does that mean? That means nothing. So covering your hair should come from inside. It should come from within. If you want to cover your hair because you want to be modest, it should be up to the people to do so. But wait, I didn't cut you off.
I didn't say anything.
I heard you breathing. But
I'm a human being. I can breathe. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll hold my breath. Okay.
But chaotic. Wearing the hijab should come from within. If you want to be a modest person and you're doing it for modest or religious reasons, it should come from within. It should not be forced on the people, because just because you force a person to wear a scarf on their head does not mean that you're going to force conservative values on them. This is the issue with forcing people to cover hair, because it doesn't make you a better person or worse. Yeah.
Amir, I thought I would never say this to you, but for 2 minutes, you had nothing but the devil coming out of you.
Oh.
Now, Amir, you're sitting up here. You are a part of one of the greatest cultures on the planet. Now, your religion is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest religion on the planet. Now, I don't know too much about Iran. I know that they speak a multiplicity of languages, which is Turkish, Persian. I know Arab is their official language.
It's not.
I thought it was their official language.
Farsi is the official language.
Farsi is there. And now, what is Farsi? Hit me to that. What is that?
Farsi is an Iranian language. It's only really spoken in Iran. Farsi language that some people speak Arabic because they are on a border between, I believe, Turkey and.
You sure their official language is in Persian?
There's no language called Persian. Persian is Farsi. Farsi is Persian.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no language called.
Okay. Well, you're hipping me. Hey, I'm not Middle Eastern, people. So please hit me to it. Now.
No, I understand.
But they practice Islam, right?
They practice a sect of Islam called Shia. Shia is, but the Shia is, like I told you, they believe in temporary marriages and all that.
Okay. Now, you know as well as I do, I'm not Iranian. I've never been there. But Amir, you know as well as I do that the women in Iran are nothing like the women in the West.
They're worse.
No, they're not.
They are.
They're okay. So Amir, hold on for a second. You mean to tell me, Amir, women in Iran are walking around half naked, hollering and screaming at the top of their lungs, street fighting each other, twerking on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram? That's what you're telling me. You're telling me that hold on for a second. You're telling me that women in Iran are making vulgar rap songs, twerking their asses. You mean to tell me women in Iran have what did those little white college girls do? Women in Iran have Girls Gone Wild in Iran too. Where's all these things at? Because I've never seen that.
Are you asking?
Yeah.
It's behind closed doors. I mean, yeah, it's not, but it's alive and well.
So why are there not any Iranian thoughts on Instagram?
I don't think Instagram is permitted in Iran, is it? I don't
They have
believe
social media in Iran. They cut it off this week. So you're telling me that women in Iran are more promiscuous than women in the West?
No, no, they're not more.
Okay, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. So wearing a hijab, you're telling me, does not bring sanctity and conservative values?
No,
Okay. Okay.
that
That's your opinion.
has
That's
to
your
come from.
opinion. And I can argue otherwise. You know why? I could argue this. Men, whether you're black, whether you're African, I mean, whether you're white, whether you're Arab or Chinese, we are all the same. We all look at women. We all look at women from a biological point of view, especially if they're young. If they're 19, 20, 21, woo, yeah. But when you cover your hair, you are conserving your beauty. You are covering up what you are covering up your physical features so that animalistic men, such as myself, are not looking at you. You are pretty much forcing the man to want to know who you are, what you are about, what is inside of your head. You see, when you don't cover yourself, all we look at is your physical attributes. The beauty of the hijab is that if the woman, listen, if the woman is not a virtuous woman, at least she is pretending to be. See, that's the difference, in my opinion. At least she's pretending to conserve certain aspects about herself that may attract unwanted attention or cover up. But give me a second. But women in the West don't even pretend. You have women in the West, black, white, will walk out the house ass naked and then will complain if somebody's looking at them. That's the difference. You can't tell me, Amir, that this is going on in Iran. I've never been to Iran, but I know damn well those women in Iran, though they may do things behind closed doors, they ain't doing it in public. That's the difference. Go ahead.
Is it really playing pretend when you're forced to do so at the threat of incarceration? I mean, is that really you pretending to be virtuous, or is that you're trying to stay out of jail?
Amir, what your people, the Arabs or Middle Eastern people, what they figured out thousands of years ago, that a lot of groups of people didn't figure it out at all. They figured out that women are biological creatures, and primarily women want to breed. I don't know what took place 10,000 years ago. I have theories, but I think a great ancient Middle Eastern man said, you know what? For society to function properly and orderly, for men to build and not be distracted, we got to cover these women up. She coming around here looking, and I think that is the beauty of what Middle Eastern people did. So whether it's forcing you to cover up or you're doing it at your own will, Amir, by God's own ordination, men are the leaders and we build society and we maintain it. And if a man says, hey, we can't have you chicks walking around here half-ass naked. Now, if we've asked you to do it, if we ask you not to do it, you're gonna continue your behavior. So maybe we're gonna have to threaten you with jail. Because we don't want a society of chaos and havoc. We don't want red light districts. We don't want prostitution in the open. We don't want these things that make Western countries bad. I'm not saying that these things don't happen in Arab countries or Persian countries or Jewish countries. But what I'm saying is that it's not as open. There ain't no strawberries in Iran. You know what a strawberry is, right, Amir?
I can guess, but
What is your guess? Go ahead.
I I don't know. Like I don't know. I let you decide.
A
What is?
strawberry is a prostitute who's a dope fiend.
Wow, that was way off what I
And
was.
Iran, I bet you, doesn't have that. But you know why the West has strawberries? Because we have allowed women to run amok. So stopping women from doing drugs and alcohol would prevent the strawberry from even happening. I know, Abir. I know these are extremities, but these are the things that have made Middle Eastern countries work for thousands of years. Go ahead, Amir. I'm cutting you off. Go ahead.
But when speaking about Iran, I mean, I understand what your point is, but you clearly don't know the drug usage in Iran. I mean, there are a lot of drug addicts and dope fiends, as you call it. But you're right; it's not as prominent. It's not as prominent, and it's not as out in the open, of course, because people don't want to be jailed. Is that correct? I mean, in a way, if you want to keep order in a country, sure. But if you're forcing women to cover themselves, it doesn't make them virtuous, is what I'm saying to you. It doesn't make them virtuous because a scarf is just, if you dress like a police officer, does that make you a police officer? No. Just because a woman is dressing like the Virgin Mary doesn't mean that she acts like the Virgin Mary. And this is where a lot of people, I've seen, especially in my community and the Muslim community, we have a term called hijabi. So the term that the girls wear the hijab, we call them hijabi girls, because they wear the hijab. The girls who are bad and who wear the hijab just as a farce, we call them hojabis. That they're actually whores, but they cover their hair. So
There. Oh, I'm sorry.
on the other side of that is that, like I said, there's a lot of women who don't cover their hair who behave way better, who are virtuous, who have only had their husband and their husband only, and all of that. And then there's women who have worn hijab who have boyfriends, who have going out with boyfriends and breaking up and doing all the regular stuff that Western women do. The other thing I wanted to bring up to you is that this thing in Iran is not just about the hair covering. What's going on in Iran has been going on for a while. There's been weeks of protests going on there, and this was just the tipping point, if you know.
Amir, there is a great African American Negro that you and I both know.
Thomas Sowell,
His name is Logic.
Larry Elder.
No, his name is Logic. He comes on the panel here all the time.
Oh no!
Now, this great man,
Oh my God!
this man who is wise beyond his years.
No.
Now, he said something many months ago that has stuck with me. He said, you know the difference between the white drug addict and the black drug addict? And the white boy that sells dope and the black boy who sells dope? He says, and if he's listening, please correct me if I'm wrong, good sir. If a white boy is selling drugs, he's doing it in his home. He doesn't have people dope fiending outside waiting for it. There's no shootings. There's nothing to cause attention. He said even in his condo, which is very nice, by the way, he said it's probably white boys in there on drugs right now, but you would never know it because of their behavior. They're probably in there smoking crack, but it's their behavior. They're not coming outside in the middle of the street naked, running around. Now, Amir, in the black community, a Negro will smoke dope. He will smoke PCP. Next thing you know, he's in the middle of the street running around naked. I've seen it. I've seen it.
I've seen it too.
Well, a Negro will smoke crack. He will be outside of a house bringing attention, unwanted attention from the police or the neighbors. Or there'll be a shootout. Now, Amir, you and I both know no human being is really perfect. I know that there are really no true virtuous women. You're an animal. We're all animals. We have biological instincts.
Wait, what the?
Just hear me out for a minute. Hear me out.
Okay.
But the fact is, At least if you're covered up, at least if you are covered up, you're not bringing attention to yourself or your community. You're not going to be led to do other things. But see, in the West, it's gotten so out of hand over here. Women could literally walk out the house naked at this point because of all these Me Too movements, hashtag movements, etc. So that's the example. You're in America. Chaos is created when you take off the veil. At least in Iran or these other countries, you don't have the same types of problems that you do here. See, in Iran, you don't have women getting sloppy drunk with men and then the next day saying, "Oh, I was great." See, they stopped that. They nipped that in the bud. You listen, you ain't about to drink at all. This is a dry country. You ain't about to drink at all. How about that?
Mm.
See, they prevent a lot of things from happening from the get-go. I'm not saying that these women are virtuous. I'm just saying, listen, if you take that veil off, Iran is going to look like a liberal city within 5 years. You're going to have women pretty much doing the same thing that they're doing in the West openly. And that's going to create major problems. That's all I'm saying. Does that make any sense, Amir?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. You're very logical.
Thank you.
However, Iran, if you know the history of Iran, they've gone through this already. Like they had times of secular dress where the women looked like the women in the 50s where they wore long skirts a little bit past their.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Right. So they had the time, and then during that time, Iran used to be a popular vacation spot. It actually was a place where people used to go to holiday. You can't do that anymore because Iran has become what it is now. Of course, you see.
Could it be that now you're talking about the? I'm assuming it was called. I think it was called the Iranian Revolution, right?
I don't know the name.
I can't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about. Could it be that women, because they were given so many freedoms, became promiscuous and did the very same things that I'm talking about now? And maybe that's why they restricted women back to the hijab in public?
Well, it was their leader. Their leader was against it. He was the one who wanted the country to be an Islamic country, strictly Islamic country, follow the Sharia. But their version of it is completely different, of course. Like I said, temporary marriages and such. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It looks good. The women look good because they're covered. The appearances can change the behavior of the people. You're right. But you don't need to force people to cover their hair to make them civil. I mean, look at, well, I almost said North Korea. Oh goodness, that was a bad example. But look at other countries that are clean, good. You worship like the Chinese. You love the Chinese.
I find that what you just said offensive, Amir. I don't worship anybody, but go ahead.
The Japanese, you said, are the chosen people.
Yeah, but I don't worship people. Go ahead. You got the floor. Go ahead. What about them? Go ahead.
You said they're chosen, and we should emulate behavior. I get it. So look at countries like that. I mean, I don't know. Forcing people to cover their hair is just, I don't know. I think it should come from within. Like I said, the people should do it if they really are modest.
Amir, when I was in college, I was Blue Cousin. If you're in the chat, please acknowledge this story because he was with me that day. I was playing pool with an Egyptian Arab, and there were other Egyptian females around us. Amir, one of the girls, she was smoking hot, by the way, I ain't gonna lie. She said a curse word. You know what the Arab Egyptian man did to her? He said, "Sweetheart." You can call her sweetheart. He said, let's watch our language. You know why he did that? He did that because he knows that one curse word can lead to promiscuous behavior that embarrasses their ethnic group on that university. See, they were actually from Egypt. Not straight off the boat. They came here as kids. Thank you for that $5 super chat, Clue Channel. It says shout out to Chaotic Lioness.
They mixed our names.
Yeah, okay. The Chaotic Lioness. Right. Now, it wasn't like he checked her, but he reminded her of a certain level of decorum. Now, mind you, she probably curses like a sailor in their company. But he said, I'll be damned if I'm going to let you cuss like that in front of this American black and embarrass us. We are supposed to set the example, not them. They're Westerners. It's a free-for-all with them. They drink, they party, they act a fool. But we're not like that. And I believe listen, he didn't say all of that, but hey, that's what was said when he said, hey, let's watch our language. Because even he knows the chaos that can ensue when you let particularly women get pretty much start behaving like that and fraternizing like that. And to a degree, I don't want to see that in Iran. But you keep on saying that Iranians are different. I'm listening. Go ahead, Amir. Amir's on mute. Tariq says, Amir talks about the secular period of Iran when it was forced on the Iranian people. Let me see.
Yeah, I said it was illegal to wear the hijab. That's exactly what I said. But
Amir, you don't have any children, but if you had children, you would raise your daughters in the traditional Middle Eastern way, right?
I have no choice.
Well, aren't you forcing? Wait a minute. Now you live in America, right?
Yeah.
But aren't you forcing that your parents' culture on your children? No,
that's not forced. You grow up like that. They're not like saying, well, you must do this. It's just you're naturally growing up your culture.
Now wait a minute. Now hear me out for a minute. Now you grew up in America. You're about as American as apple pie.
America.
Yeah. Now, why would you force? No, I'm sorry. Why would you raise your daughters to be like Middle Eastern women? Well, why is that? You would want your daughters to wear a hijab?
I wouldn't force my daughter to wear a hijab.
But you would want her to.
I would like it if she did. Yeah, I would like it.
Why is that? What's the difference between her wearing a hijab and not wearing one?
Well, when I was a kid, I wore hijab too. I mean, it's just another level of worship, honestly. And if she felt that way, I wouldn't mind if she did. I would love it, actually. But I wouldn't force her to do it. What I would force, however, is modesty. You will be modest. You're not going to be out here with your boobs and your booty hanging out. You're not going to do that.
Right. So what is so wrong with the men or the government in Iran saying, listen, you guys aren't about to walk around here like some American women?
There's nothing wrong with that. I just told you.
Why aren't you raising your daughter like that then? If it's nothing wrong with it.
You're talking about a state, a country that is telling the women that if you have a grown woman, a woman with her own autonomy, telling her that she has to wear a certain item of clothing, because if she doesn't, she will be jailed, possibly beaten. That's the difference. I'm not going to jail my child if she doesn't do that. I will tell her the benefits of wearing hijab and the benefits of other lifestyles, but I wouldn't jail her or beat her if she didn't. You know what I mean? There's a difference there.
Now, how did you know that now I'm assuming you're talking about the young lady. Do you know for a fact that she was beaten?
So there's many stories, and this is why I don't trust American media, and I'm sure you don't as well, because you have a very inquisitive mind. There's stories out there saying that the woman was arrested, and during the car ride to the jail, she was severely beaten. She suffered heart failure, and they brought her back, and then once at the place where she was going to get sentenced or get judgment, that's where she passed. This is what people are saying. So I don't know. The women are cutting off their hair because supposedly they said her hair was ripped out. That during the beating, some of her hair was ripped out or something like that. And I don't believe it. I don't believe what the media is saying. I do not believe that this is for all. This is just for that. I know that Iran has been going through a lot of protests already. So this is why I don't believe it, and I don't think you should either.
Well, I'm not necessarily looking at the story, and I already said as tragic as the story is, I'm looking at the actual events that are taking place now. And again, I am just saying that if an Iranian girl is listening to this, me, I'm an American, and I'm telling you that your culture, in terms of its modesty, is better than America. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So taking off the hijab, it's not I mean, I know they're trying to make it seem like, oh, this is symbolic of women resisting the forced wearing of the hijab and blah blah blah. But no, I'm telling you, keep those hijabs on. Men respect modesty more than promiscuity. It's just facts. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that, listen, Amir, you know more about those people than I do, of course. But what I'm saying is that, thank you for the $10 super chat. Health and Healing. Healing says, because deep down we truly want what's best for our children, and we know that it adds a level of protection. And all I'm saying, Amir, thank you so much, Health and Healing, man. Thank you guys for all the super chats. And all I'm saying, Amir, is that America, though a great country, certainly does not set the standard on women's rights. And that's what I truly believe. I believe that those Arab countries are doing I keep saying Arab, but it's not an Arab country, but I believe that those Middle Eastern countries, a lot of them, know how to handle women. And I think that, listen, Amir, you may not agree with this, but a lot of times you guys want male leadership. You talk about it all the time. And why can't the state be a leader? You depend on the state for everything else, right? So if the state is saying, listen, it's not the perfect solution, but generally women who are promiscuous, women who behave a certain way, are more prone to certain criminal acts. So for example, Amir, I'm talking about drinking. In America, a lot of women drink and get wasted. And a lot of women end up waking up the next day regretting everything that they did. But what if there was a state, what if there was a state law that said, we're going to make this county dry, meaning that we're not going to sell out any alcohol, etc., because we want to protect women. I find that hard to believe that a woman would get mad at a law like that. To say, oh, well, the state can't. Why would the state restrict alcohol? Blah 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 blah. Well, don't you want protection? Didn't you say that women are raped at higher levels? So if you look at the statistics, a lot of women end up in those situations. Well, we're going to prevent it.
Well, you heard of the Prohibition era. I mean, there was a time when we had a dry America. America was dry before, and you saw what happened. You just smuggled it, because people will do what they will do. You cannot force morality or decency, not even modesty. You cannot force it on people. If someone wants to be that way, they're going to find a way to be it. So I don't. I understand what you're saying. Like, maybe it will reduce the amount, but it might not. It might actually increase it, because people love doing things that are prohibited. So
that's
who
the
knows?
devil inside of them. And you see the devil is coming out of those women in Iran right now. What they're doing is shameful. And I'm telling you, that country should never ever acquiesce to anything, to any of these little silly little hashtag movements. Amir, in America right now, Amir, you literally have men who say, listen, I'm not meeting with this woman.
Yeah.
Because it's gotten so bad in America that, men don't want to be brought up on any type of allegation. So all I'm saying is that these women are looking at America, and that's what they're doing. They're looking at America, and they want to be like these women here. And for the life of me, I know that the colors, the clothes, they may be vibrant and cool, but they're not. Those are clothes of whores. And I'm an American, and I'm telling you, do not follow this culture. if you are from Iran or any other um, Middle Eastern country, do not follow this country when it comes to that kind of dress and style. But Amir, you just don't agree with the whole police state over there. Well,
I
but Amir,
you know,
go ahead.
oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
How can you? And I didn't say it at first, but Amir, you know this, Amir, because you probably heard it from your dad. Your brain is not like my brain. A woman's brain is like, like a turkey when you've eaten it all up and it's like nothing really left. Like a woman's brain is like that. My brain is like a juicy turkey that just comes out the oven. It's all glistening gold. See, that's a man's brain. See, a man is responsible for his actions. Mary, a lot of times women aren't. You could just blame, not you necessarily, but a woman can blame her predicament on life, incident on anybody, especially a man. You know that. All I'm saying is that is it so wrong to just make it a crime for you not to wear the hijab?
In my country, the doctor said that the woman brain the size of squirrel, not the size of the body of the squirrel. The size of the brain of the squirrel is the same as a woman. I'm joking, but no. You said, is it a crime to make women wear it? Yes, I believe it is a crime to force it on. I think that like our books, our religious texts are there. If the women think that being more modest, some women think that you should cover your entire face and only the eyes should show. Some women believe that is not showing any of your body and just having a full sheet with a mesh. And there's different levels of modesty. Some women think as long as your boobs are not out and your thighs are not showing, you're being modest. There's different levels of modesty. Which one is the correct level?
I believe that, in my opinion, the burqa, the covering of the face, is essential. Now, that's just me. I'm not trying to promote that, but now, mind you, my wife walks around and she's very modest, but she's not like that. But in my opinion, I think a lot of those countries have it right. You make the woman cover up when she's out in public.
Do you think that the woman should show their eyes or no eyes?
I think that the woman should show her eyes, but I think the woman should cover her face and her hair and everything. Now, that's just me.
Okay.
That's me. And again, it's for your own protection. You have women now who swear up and down. They get catcalled. They get all these things. Well, how about this? Let's take preventive measures at this point, if you believe that those things are happening. But if you're wearing a thong out in public with high heels, you don't get any sympathy from me if you say that somebody looked at you wrong, said something to you wrong, etc. You're inviting demonic spirits in the manifest of a man talking to you.
Yeah.
Because again, men think about sex, most men won't admit it, Amir, about 97% of the day. And when you see a woman dressed with her legs out and et cetera, I mean, let's be honest, we don't care about what you're talking about. You could be talking about the cure for cancer if you got your legs out and you got some nice toes, you're tall and thin. That's all we're thinking about, some coochie. And that, and it's the truth. That's why I believe, again, if I had a country, I would never go to the extremity of covering everything up like that. But I could see the logic in that. It's distraction. It's distractful.
Correct.
Yeah. It's distractful. Word. Go ahead.
I agree. And for people who ask, like, why do the women have to cover and men do not? Because of the equality thing. Men do have a dress code in Islam as well, but most people don't know. Men are not supposed to be showing, like, I think their shorts, if they wear shorts, it has to come down to the knee, I believe. Mm-hmm. The arms have to be covered at least quarter length. And you're supposed to always have a beard. A beard is what's it called? What is the word? It's not just permitted, but required. Yeah, required to have a beard.
A goatee?
No, a beard.
Oh, a
Chaotic.
beard. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. See, again, you know more than me. I'm not Arab. Um, but yeah. So again, anybody can cam up. Thank you for that $10 super chat, health and healing. Woo! Thank you so much. Says thank you. Men are visually stimulated. Oh, absolutely. Amir, I'm telling you, Iran does not really want their country to be like a Western country. Listen.
It already was. And they were successful during that time.
But how do you? But Amir, let's be honest. You were born in the year 2000. You don't really know what year were you born, Amir? Let's be honest.
97.
Amir, you're a child. You don't really know what happened back then. You were born in 1997. I was in junior high school in 97. We don't really know. See, and that's the thing about the past. We all love to pretend. Oh, in the past it was unicorns and butterflies in a green pasture. Stop it. We don't really know what took place in that Iran. And my suspicion is that it was getting out of hand, and the leader, and we got to be careful when we say his name.
You talking about our dear leader Joe Biden?
No, I'm talking about in Iran.
Oh.
And at the time, and he said, "Oh no, we can't have this country looking like this. All this, no, absolutely not." Guys, please feel free to cam up. Please hit that like button. Thank you so much for the super chats. Valerie says, Amir, don't let CT talk to you like that. Get him. Amir has been getting me because she knows more about her culture than I certainly do. Jordan says, chaotic is cool as fuck. Thank you so much, Jordan. Positivity is coming your way. Clue Channel says, in 97, I was a senior in high school. In 1997, Amir, I was 13 years old. Wow. 13. I was in junior high school. He calls me friend, says, oh my God, I'm older than you. I just knew you were older than me. Wow.
Hi, he calls me friend. I always see her. I think it's a she.
Now, Amir, society. See, you ever heard of the saying, Amir, that feminists only survive when the lights are on, right? Now, let the shit hit the fan, Amir. Mm-hmm. Let the shit hit the fan. Let society collapse. Watch how overnight women will turn into the most domestic, sexual pleasing Stepford wives, house cats on the planet. Those women in Iran want to be feminist. You know what happens when you have feminist? You have lesbianism.
Oh my God.
I know people in the chat are going to say, he talking about gay people, blah, blah, blah. There was a time, Amir, when you can openly talk about the LGBTQ community and nobody would bat an eye. I don't know why things changed overnight. I don't have to agree with them. I would never do anything violent towards a person in that community. I've hung out with people in that community. I've worked with people in that community, but I don't agree with your behavior. But I know what happens when you allow feminist ideology to permeate throughout the culture. You see it wreaks havoc in the black and white culture. It wreaks havoc. If you are Iranian, I know you may think that, oh, we're getting over on the men. But you're not. What you're doing is you're going to start introducing lesbianism into the culture. You're going to have a lot of women carpet munching.
Chaotic.
No, hear me out. Just hear me out. Hear me out. You're going to have a lot of women carpet munching. A lot of broken families. And because you're introducing something that is unnatural, and especially something that has never been a part of the culture.
Okay.
Now, I know people don't want to hear it. I know this is upsetting people. Oh, man, I'm going to report chaotic. Listen, it's the truth, and you know it. How many butchy white women or butchy black women have you as a man almost have had to knock out because they think that they're men? Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. How many butchy couples, talk about lesbian couples, have you seen that have fought tooth and nail with each other? You're introducing domestic problems that didn't exist before, or you will be. You're going to be introducing broken families that didn't exist before. That's what happens. If you are Iranian, I'm telling you, as an American, listen, I'm the whistleblower. I'll let you know. That's what you're going to be introducing into your culture if you continue to allow these women to protest. You're going to have millions of men who are going to turn into incels overnight because they can't get any coochie because most of the women are going to be lesbian. Tell me that's not happening right now in America. No, not you, Amir. Tell me that's not happening. I'm just talking to people in general. Go ahead, Amir. You got the floor.
That's not the reason why. I understand that women are, there's a rise of incel culture, but that's not the reason why. It's not because the women are taking the women. I mean, aren't you red pill?
No, yeah. I'm a man. I know what you mean by red pill, but I'm a man. And here goes the thing. I said it and I'll keep on saying it. Amir, I'm a little bit older than you. I'm not that older than you, but I'm a lot older than you to the point where I remembered the 90s. I remembered every year in the 90s. Oh, that was an awesome damn decade. Woo! Get a 1 in the chat if you think the 90s was the best decade. I certainly do.
Age rank on me, chaotic.
Yes. Now hear me out for a minute. In the 90s, Amir, if there was a level of lesbianism, we certainly didn't see it at a large scale. Men could get women, women dated men. There was no really confusion at a large scale like it is now. We didn't really have a lot of incels in the 90s. I don't remember that. Now, could there have been incels? Probably. But the more women become feminist, you are literally depleting the dating pool for men. The more incels in a culture, the more hey man, thank you for that $2 super chat, health and healing. The more problems may arise. Just the other day in Russia, Amir, there was a school shooting. Did you hear about that?
No.
It was a school shooting. 21 people wounded, 15 people killed. Incel. He couldn't get any coochie. I believe he couldn't get any coochie because, first of all, you have a lot of women now who are on social media who think that they're going to get the next billionaire, millionaire. I'm not dating them. He's just a regular Joe. Oh yeah. The same thing happens in Russia. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen in Iran when? That's why they shut off social media. They said these women are getting indoctrinated with Western culture. You're going to have Iranian women thinking that they're going to marry the next NBA player. A sport that's not even in Iran. That's how powerful social media is. You're going to have a lot of women thinking that it's cool to be lesbian. This is dangerous what's going on in Iran. And I believe that this is a global conspiracy to turn the globe into a Western country or to to adopt Western ideology. I believe it.
I believe that for sure.
Yes. Go ahead. I've been talking. Go ahead.
You're right about the New World Order, as they call it, where the world will be one and we will adopt all of the same principles. And it's more of a socialistic type of life that they're trying to make the world live in. And yes, you're right about that. And that's why the thing with Russia and Ukraine is so big, because Ukraine was indoctrinated by the Western world. Mm-hmm. Believe that, if you start acting like us, that's why, President Zelensky, all of them, or anyway, that's getting way too political. Well, we are on a politics show. This is a political show, so I can be myself, right?
Yeah.
So Zelensky, he was just a puppet. Everybody knew that. He was just a puppet for the UN, not the UN, you would say the liberal, liberal world. And this is why Russia was like, okay, well, if you want to be poussé, I didn't say the word, I said poussé. If you want to be poussé, then I'm going to take your stuff and I'll just take it because you don't know how to run this country.
Mm.
I am glad Russia did it. I am glad. I'm happy to see it. Ukraine was one of the most corrupt countries in this whole entire planet, the whole God's green flat earth. Ukraine was the worst corrupt country. And
Well, wait, well, what? Excuse me. Did you say green? What?
God's green flat earth.
Hold on for a second. Maybe I'm hearing certain things. Did you just say that the Earth is flat? Amir, have you been smoking dope? Keep it real. Hit a one in the chat if you think Amir's been smoking dope. I'm not even gonna engage in that silly argument. You could okay. So I see Amir as a flat earther. That's a whole nother rabbit hole that we can go down, but I'm not gonna go down that one. I think Amir is probably gonna go viral with that. Amir, you were joking, right? You're joking. You don't honestly believe that the Earth is flat.
I mean, I've never seen
The
it.
Earth is an infinite plane of just land.
I've never
Believe that the Earth is just an infinite plane of land.
I've never seen it. I've never stepped off of it to know what it looks like. So I don't know.
Help the healer with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, guys. I don't know what is going on with Amir, but Amir has said something that is absolutely crazy. That I think Jr. might clip that.
They know.
Yeah.
You see, they know.
Okay. Anyway. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Amir.
Yes. Yes.
Here goes the thing.
Jordan.
When the feminist movement infiltrated the Black community, that's when you see a surge in. You can look at the data that everybody loves using data. Look at the data. When the feminist movement came about, excuse me, you get a rise in single motherhood. You get a rise in lesbianism. You get a rise in STDs. When the feminist movement came up, you ever notice that? Think about it. When did STDs really come into play? For some reason, it came about during the feminist movement. You get a rise in a lot of different things. Violence. The 70s were absolutely violent. This is history. You can look at the stats. Now, where was all this feminist movement during World War II? How come women weren't fighting to go fight on the shores of Normandy? The Iranians, just like most people on the planet, have developed a comfortable society. So the women have become bored. They're looking at Twitter. They're looking at Instagram or Facebook, whatever they got over there. They're looking at something. They've gotten bored. They're sitting around. There's nothing going on in Iran. There's no political upheaval. So they're creating things in their head now. Just like in America. There's nothing really going on in America. But people are bored here. They're creating things. Oh, that black guy just died. Let's go march and protest. Because they're bored. They don't have anything else to do. That's what happened with George Floyd. A lot of people were bored. This is a peaceful country, generally speaking, and it's very wealthy. I believe in Iran, the same thing has happened. A lot of those women there, they've come from great families. They've never really had to go through anything like their grandmothers did or great grandmothers did in the country. And they're sitting around and they're having, like most women, they're sitting around, they're having conversations. And you already know what happens when a whole bunch of women get talking. They get to talking nonsense. And they're talking about how oppressive the men are. The men are oppressive. And this young lady unfortunately dies, and that was the catalyst for them to act a fool. And that's what they're doing now in Iran. Now, I've never been to Iran, but I know the formula. Ain't nothing going on in Iran. There ain't no oppression over there. Those women love the fact that they're wearing hijabs, but you have a few feminists in the population who have a voice now because of, look, you can get on the phone right now and talk to millions of people. So you have a lot of women, a few women who are feminists now, and I believe it's those types of women that are marching and leading these marching protests. Amira, what say you? Go ahead.
Did you just say that there's no oppression in Iran?
There's no who?
That there's no oppression in Iran? Iran?
What oppression is there?
In Iran, there is no freedom of speech. In Iran, I do not believe that they have a Second Amendment like we do. In Iran, there's no freedom of the press. In Iran, you must do as you're told when you're told. I'm not a person who believes in all the victim and I'm oppressed and oh, woe is me. You know I'm not like that, neither are you. But we cannot lie and say that there is no oppression going on, because that's where actual oppression is, not like in America where.
Is there a Second Amendment in Japan? They don't have a Second Amendment, but we can argue and say that Japan is a very peaceful, free country, right?
Well,
they don't need a Second Amendment.
What about the freedom of the press then?
Could you also argue that restricting pornography, restricting fight videos, pretty much videos that most Americans watch, is a good thing, in my opinion? Now, again, I believe in the freedom of the press. I believe in the First Amendment. But what are people really watching and doing what are they doing?
The freedom of the press is not just about watching and entertainment. You know what it is. I mean, that is us speaking about our government and being free to document and record the things that are going on and spread the word to other people. That is something that we should be able to do without having to be constricted to a narrative that the government wants you to believe or to promote.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Does YouTube believe in freedom of speech?
No.
Does the Washington Post believe in freedom of speech?
Well, its own platform, so that doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't count. Okay, I got you. Let me ask you a question. If I were to go around a whole bunch of liberals, could I freely speak about conservative values? Yes. Without being attacked?
What you said? Well, you should be able to. I mean, it would be.
You know how many times I've been around liberals and I've always been attacked physically, and I'm talking about.
Same here.
So,
okay.
So is America really a country of freedom of speech for real? Let's be honest.
Yes, because no, I mean, I'll give you an example. Why?
No, I didn't say anything. I just said, that's all I did. I didn't say anything.
Illegality is different from what people do outside. Does that make sense? Like, people outside, they may have a reaction to your freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that it is illegal and you'll be punished capitally because of it.
Amir, hold on for 1 second. Health and Healing, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Alex Trebek with the $20 super chat says, in the West and in America, we don't have freedom of speech, press, or democracy. You can get your bank credit processors canceled, like Project. Oh man, guys, you guys are using collegiate words. Veritas, I don't know. Veritas, I don't know. And prevented from future employment, canceled like Jordan Peterson. America is supposed to be freedom of speech, Amir. America is supposed to be a place where Driscoll, I'm going to let you up, but is it possible that you could turn on your camera, my good sir? I'm going to let you up anyway, but okay, there you go. So Amir, so legally America is a country where there is freedom of speech, but I have been attacked. I was accosted by an old white woman. She was about 60-something years old. She couldn't believe that my black ass voted for Trump. She was all in my car, all in my face. You're black and you voted for Trump. And I'm like, I'm all in my face. I could smell her breath. So I was oppressed right then and there, Amira.
Well, what you do
It
you do
really
understand
impressed me.
responses to you does not mean that is illegal or you're restricted. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
People's responses. It's like if freedom of the press. If
Yeah.
you create, hold on one second, chaotic. Please, let me
Amir,
tell you.
all I'm saying is, yeah, I'm listening to you.
Okay, because you usually cut me off when we bring up people. So I just want you to hold on one second for me, and I'll be quick.
Oh,
I
you're
promise.
fine.
Okay, so do you understand? Like, if you create something, let's say freedom of the press, you create a newspaper article, right? You send it out, and then people respond poorly to it. People discuss it, criticize, and so on and so forth. Does that mean that your freedom has been restricted because you have gotten a reaction from your work? It doesn't mean that you're restricted. It just means you're getting a response. Same thing with your freedom of speech and a lady attacking you. You still have the freedom to say it. You will not be persecuted for saying it. But the response
Hmm.
of the is always a question mark. Hi, Driscoll TV. Guys, he does music if you guys don't know. I put his music on my channel as well. He has a channel, he has a song called Trumpet. It's really good. Check it out. Thank you, Driscoll.
Driscoll, you're on mute, sir. You are on mute.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you have a great mic. Go ahead, sir.
Awesome. Yep. Nah, I mean, y'all are on it. The freedom of speech thing is funny because it does seem like we are starting to feel oppression on the conservative side.
Mm.
A lot of people had questions about the election recently. I've had videos taken down for talking about those questions. I've had social media accounts canceled for talking about those questions. So there is some validity to that statement.
Okay, you got the floor.
And I also believe similarly to you, chaotic, about Iran.
Mm.
Um, I know the outrage that people are having about the woman being killed and whatnot. I'm just always weary of agendas when I see things popping up on the news. I think it is a push to globalize feminism,
Yeah.
especially into an area where it has just completely been rejected.
Yes, sir.
They've maintained a very conservative outlook in those areas somehow when the rest of the world has been drifting further and further away from those views. So I do believe that as well. And shout out to Amira for the flat earth comment. I caught that.
Alex Trebek with the $10 super chat says various governmental bodies such as the IRS, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearm, the Department of Justice have been used as political weapons. For example, against Dr. Ben Carson and Dr. Thomas Sowell. Go ahead, guys.
I want to say thank you, Driscoll, for coming up. If you ever come up, but what do you think about the whole what chaotic was talking about? What do you think about if a woman wears a scarf or she's forced to wear the scarf not by her own volition? Do you is that a word? You understand? Not by her own will or desire. Do you think that that is modesty? Do you think that is right? Do you think that we would live in a better world if the woman were forced with the threat of jail or being beaten in the streets?
Um, that's tricky. I do believe that we would be in a better society if they were forced as a whole, because I do think it could help protect women. But I also don't agree that they should not have the choice. And maybe that's just me being a spoiled American.
Mm.
I'm perplexed. I'm
Yeah.
very big on freedoms, especially our constitutional
Yeah.
freedoms. I think we have the most freedoms ever in world history here.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to justify people not having the choice to make that decision. But at the
Yeah.
same time, if it works, it's kind of hard to argue that it's bad at the same time. So I don't know.
Driscoll, I have a question for you, sir. In terms of raw looks, who's hotter, Iranian women or Russian women? Keep it real.
Please, you know, no, no.
What?
First,
No, wait, hold on a second. Now, what's going on here? Now, this is between me and Driscoll, but I'm sorry, Amira. What did you want to say? What happened here? I'm asking Driscoll a
If I'm
question,
gonna
man
say
to man.
raw looks,
Just raw looks.
I'm gonna say Iranian women.
Yeah, Iranian women are pretty hot. Amira, it sounded like you were trying to say something. It sounded like a cat meowing, but go ahead.
never mind.
Okay.
Remember, world-sized brain. I
Okay.
did.
Okay. Guys, please put a 1 in the chat if you are for Iranian women or 2 for Russian women. Who is hotter? I certainly think Iranian women are absolutely hot. Guys, thank you so much for the super chats. We have Alex Trebek again with the $10 super chat. Let me see. Cat Students One says, "I like brunettes." Absolutely. Will Dickens says, "Russian women are ugly." Will, I will ban you for the rest of the show, sir. Please. Russian women are very, very hot. Jay Boss says, "Iranian women are hotter." Um, Driscoll, we all know that that woman who unfortunately passed away in Iran, we know that that is you know a, it could have been any woman that day. It's a part of some plot going on in Iran that actually Amir said they had been protesting for weeks prior, et cetera, et cetera. Do you believe if these women get their way, do you but what will Iran look like in 5 years? Go ahead, sir.
Man, hopefully not America.
Uh-oh.
um, I mean, because it's the question is, what is their way? What is it that they're wanting? If they just want the right to not have to be forced to wear things, I think that's reasonable. But I don't think it stops there. I think if we look at history, feminism always starts uh, with a moral approach. It always starts in a
I
way
think
that,
it's I think you meant to say the feminist movement because
yeah,
feminism
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
feminism and feminist movement are different, but go ahead.
Okay, maybe you can explain that to me because I'm not aware of the
So
differences.
feminism is when a woman embraces being domestic,
Oh,
being like a mother, a
being
nurturer.
feminine.
A feminist is a woman who is anti-male, believes that women should be the leaders, et cetera, et cetera. They believe that women
Okay.
don't have rights, and yeah, that's what a feminist is different from a woman who's feminine.
Oh, no, no, no. I
Yeah.
get that. No,
Okay.
feminine and being feminist are different. But I
Yeah.
thought feminism was just another way of saying
For
she's
saying
a
feminist,
feminist.
you could be right. I mean, I thought
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
but never does.
Well,
It's
that
just
was what I
semantics.
meant by that
Okay.
at
Yeah.
least.
Go
So,
ahead, Tony. You got the floor.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I know initially the feminist movement started with good intentions, but if we look at the trajectory over time, a lot of these things start with good intentions and then they become radical. And I think that's just it's undeniably probably what's going to happen in Iran.
Mm. Super Saiyan Isaac with the $2 super chat says Russian women for the win. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um well, not over Iranian women, but definitely Russian women are super hot. Driscoll, in my opinion, my good sir, I think that if Iran continues on, you're gonna have it's gonna be no different than any liberal city. You're gonna have a lot of single mothers over there. You're gonna have a lot of debauchery. You're gonna have a lot of women walking around looking like thoughts. If they don't stop this right now, they have to stop this. If you are an Iranian person, I'm telling you, listen to an American telling you, do not let those women do that shit over there in that country. Your country's gonna turn into you're gonna have a whole bunch of lesbians running up and down there acting. I know, Amir, you get mad every time I say it, but it's the truth, Amir. I'm telling you, Driscoll. I don't know how old you are, sir, but I was born in '84. I'm telling you, when you allow that type of behavior to permeate in the society, it destroys households. You have a lot of women who have embraced this behavior, and it's destroying households. You
Yeah,
know, go
I
ahead.
think globally we as a new world have gotten so afraid of the ideals of men in control.
Yeah,
And I think it's a consistent fight against that that is just like it's a dangerous concept because all throughout history for thousands of years men have always been in control. We controlled everything and women have never been mistreated as a result. They were more protected in societies where men had more control.
yeah,
And I feel like the further we get away from that, the more dangerous of a society we create for women.
yeah. I think so too. Valerie is laughing at what I said. Scrap says, "What rights did the black man have over the black woman?" Exactly, none. We were all equal. Good point. Thank you so much for saying that. Driscoll, I did a show on this network It was one of my earlier shows when I was invited over here to do it. I said that women and men shouldn't even drink around each other. Do you know how many people emailed me and DM me saying, "Oh man, who are you to say that, man? I could drink whoever I want to drink with." And I said, "You dummies are not even listening to me. Do you know how many problems you prevent when you don't when you're not drinking around women, especially women you don't know? Do you know how many men are caught up in a lot of trouble and scandal because they've had a alcoholic beverage with a woman? Women are not held to the same standard as men in any society. Men are responsible for everything. A woman can blame society, her family, whoever when she fails. A man cannot. Again, if you
You on the
let the
money.
Iranian people, if you let those women do this, you're going to have the same situation that you have in America. You're going to have women blaming men for everything, blaming society. I keep saying it over and over. You have to prevent things from happening. You're men, Iranian men. You are men. You can tell them you're not doing this. What are they going to do to you? What are they going to do? Physically beat you up? They're not going to do it. They don't control the military. They don't control the police over there. I'm pretty sure most of the politicians are men. Tell them, no, you are not to do this. We're going to constantly imprison you if you take your hijab off. We're going to imprison you if you cut your hair. We don't want this country looking like I don't know what city in America, Driscoll? Los Angeles.
LA, there you go.
LA. We
LA,
don't want
Chicago, we can name them.
we don't want this over here. Amir, go ahead. You haven't said anything.
No, I'm listening to you.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
just enjoying the dialogue, honestly, and I'm agreeing in most of what you guys are saying. But like I said, I still don't believe that forcing people to do things is going to make them better people. I don't think it's going to make them more modest or virtuous or.
It's but see, Amir, I think you're missing the point again. And you've been a great host, co-host. Health and Healing says, "Thanks, chaotic, well spoken. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat." Again, it's not to make the woman virtuous. It is to detour a lot of behavior or a lot of. Listen, do you know all it would take? Okay, in America, if black men married their, instead of, you know, I want to be careful of it because I don't want to curse, but if
Call
black
it what it
men
is.
uh, practiced properly breeding, do you know how many the violent crime rates would drop because there wouldn't be all these little bastards running around with no fathers in the home? Just things like that. So you could prevent things from happening. Now, are the kids, is that same kid, does he still have violent tendencies? He probably does. But at least with a father in the home, the father is going to direct his violent tendencies towards football, wrestling, building something, etc. Where men are violent by nature, but it's just where you put your violence at. Where do you hone in your violence? Is it chess? I know people who play chess competitively, and you think they fight. If that makes any sense.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that you got to tell these women, hey man, y'all ain't about to be doing this because we already know what's going to happen. Driscoll, are you in your 30s, sir? If you don't mind me asking, I hate asking people
Yes,
that.
I'm 33.
Okay, I'm 37, sir. Do you remember a ancient word called a strawberry?
I do not.
Sir, a strawberry is worse than a prostitute. It is a woman who will suck cock for $5. Now, how
Sound like
did
a
she
popular woman.
how did she get to being a strawberry? Now she will, and this is a woman who's a drug addict. You know how she got that way? She started doing drugs and drinking alcohol when she was in high school. She started hanging around the promiscuous girls in high school. It led to her being a strawberry. All these things could be prevented early on if men stopped being simps and said, you know what, I'm not about to smoke this blunt with this female. See? But Driscoll, let me ask you this. How many dudes in your lifetime have you been around who smoked weed with the female?
I mean, I couldn't begin to count.
It's just poor patterns of behavior lead to lead to social decay.
But I also think you got to give the caveat that it was being done with the goal of obtaining the female sexually. So it wasn't like
And
these men
it,
mindsets were to avoid that.
exactly. So it's degenerate on both sides. So the thing of the matter is that you can prevent things from happening. I don't listen. I've never been to Iran, but I don't want strawberries to be walking around Iran because listen, you take off the hijab, then you'll have Iranian women drinking and smoking around, frolicking around. In Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken, Amir, women can't drive, right?
They can now, but a lot
It
of
get changed there.
states do. They still practice the non-driving of the women.
Now, how many times? Now, let me ask you a question. Other than picking up your child, what would you be driving your car for?
Drive around the desert.
Driving around the desert. See, and that's the thing too. I agree with Saudi Arabia restricting women driving. Women get into a lot of dumb shit when they're not when they're not restricted in society.
Did you know something chaotic?
Yo, what's up?
In the Middle East, there's a lot of desert, a lot of land. Everything is so open and flat. Yeah, like God, green, flat Earth.
Let's get you up out of here with that flat earth shit. Now, Amir, please, Amir. You know, first of all, the people, they already have an issue with you talking about black issues, and you're not even black. Now you're talking about the earth not being round. Go ahead, you got the floor.
Well, here on God's green flat Earth, there is a place in the Middle East called the desert. Everybody knows about it. You've seen pictures of it. It's great. So, in the desert, through the desert, you have freeways. Nice, beautiful, flat freeways, flat like the earth. And these freeways, they have these big lanes, right? What happens on these freeways is that camels, they tend to like to mate on freeways instead of mating in the desert. So they have all this vast land where they can have their mating activities, but they prefer to do it on the freeway while people are passing them. So in the Middle East, we often have to drive past camels getting it on, as people say.
Amir, can I ask you a question? Did you put any hallucinogenic in your tea that you're drinking? What on earth are you talking about? What? You're talking about camels having sex? What are we talking about here? Thank you for that information. I had no idea that was taking place in Saudi Arabia. I had no idea that camels were just walking around randomly in Saudi Arabia. I've never been there.
Have the imagery in your head for like when you go to.
Yeah, I understand that Saudi Arabia is the Holy Land. Salute to you guys for having the Holy Land. Driscoll,
I got something to add real quick because what you said about you don't believe women should be driving in the Middle East, or I don't know if you mean in general.
He's right.
No. I listen. I mean, we say all the time, me and the wife on our channel, like we're all about if you got a 2-parent home and your wife is in the crib, you don't need a second car. People be talking about what they can't afford to do and all of this. And I'm like, well, where is the wife going if she's home with the kids? So I rock with you on that. My only thing though is just not having the freedom to be able to. But I guess the ultimate issue, I think each place should have the right to set their own standards and live according to the way that they see fit. The same way here in the United States. If you don't like the way that they doing it in Texas, then you can move to New York. You know, and I think we should all have the right to be able to have our set of standards, and the people who don't fit within them, if that's how the majority sees it, then y'all can come to US and you can do your feminist thing over here in California.
Driscoll. Now, this may be extreme, but in Saudi Arabia, that Saudi Arabian man, he already knows. Hey, if I let her drive, she will act a fool. She will go to some dude's house, be promiscuous.
She might keep driving and not come back.
She might keep driving, not come back. She may, God knows what she'd do. But the worst part is that she will blame a man as soon as something goes haywire. And I don't want to deal with it. And I think that's why that society said, we don't even want y'all to drive because we don't want to go through the headache. Go ahead, sir. What's up, Amir? You about to say something?
The reason why a lot of women not allowed to drive was to protect them, because in the Middle East there are roaming gangs of men, and if they catch a woman driving alone, even two women in a car, they will pull them over, stop them, and assault them, take them somewhere, kidnap them, and you can imagine what else. So that used to happen a lot when women would be traveling alone, and whatever, if they're walking alone or in their car alone or what have you. So it was to protect the
You
women.
see, thank you
Sound
so
like
much,
love
Amir.
to me.
Now, see, look at this dude, Simeon. See, Simeon's a silly Negro. See, he's probably joking. Silly Negro. I'm over here and I'm talking about something very serious, and like a typical silly Negro, he's cracking jokes. Sir, I'm not saying these things to be cynical, and I'm not saying these things for some sort of satire. I'm not saying these things as a comic. Now, I know sometimes it may come off like that. But, sir, as a man, you are at risk every time you step foot outside your home, sir. And you are at risk when you are especially around women you don't know. We don't vet women. We don't practice a dowry system in America. So when you're around random females and you're drinking or doing drugs, sir, again, anything that happens, you are responsible. Look at what happened in Iran. That woman could have been under the influence of a narcotic, but what happened? She died, and now they're blaming the man, the state, well, the man. I'm gonna say the man because the state is the man. They're blaming men now. You have to correct these. You have to stop these things before they even happen. You got to treat them like children. Amir agrees with me. I'm pretty sure her father talks like this all the time. If he's a traditional Arab man, am I lying, Amir? Go ahead.
Yes, he always is like that.
You find this kind of talk here in America. I'm former military. We had sexual assault training every year where they told us if you have a drink, it's not consent. So they pretty much scared us straight as men to stop drinking with the girls in the command, period.
And I didn't even know that, sir. I had no
Yes.
idea you were in the military, sir.
Yes.
Which branch, sir?
Navy.
Oh, awesome, sir. Thank you so much for serving this country. Thank you so much for providing for my freedoms. And thank you, sir. Go ahead, sir. You got the
floor. No. But that's exactly what the message was. Just letting us know, like, if you have a drink and she accuses you, you're probably going to be held accountable. So don't even do it. Don't be out here drinking with the girls, and definitely don't sleep with nobody you've been drinking with. It's unfortunate. It felt unfair. A lot of people hated the message, but it's a slippery slope. If she say you did it, to somebody, in somebody's eyes, you did it, whether you really did it or not.
Yep. That's why I hate that. I hate this culture that we have now, where it's like the woman is always believed, and women are so reckless, and they're just like kids. You're just allowed to do anything you want, and there's no punishment. And if you end up having sex, then you can claim that it was the R word just because.
Yep.
Right. You know? And then after that, every time it's like, oh, we're going to blame the man. Why is the man responsible for not only himself, but he has to be responsible for her too, if this is a country of equality, so-called equality? Like, if it's a country where you equally take as many drinks as this man, then you should have responsibility in having sex.
Driscoll. Thank you so much, Amir. Now, Driscoll, you served in the military, right? Now, people will listen to this and say that I'm homophobic. They said, oh, you've made several comments about lesbian women. Now, in America, and Driscoll, you seem like the kind of person, no offense, you've gone out to the bars, clubs, you've been around all types of people, and you probably have been around, women like this.
I'm a DJ. I'm still around it.
We know that butchy black women, what do they call them in the relationship? In the little lesbian relationships, what they call them?
Studs.
The studs. We know that studs most of the times act like overhyped exaggerations of hood niggas. I have seen studs get ragdolled because they're pretending to be men. They get in a man's face. Now, here goes the Middle East. If you think black men will ragdoll you, wait till one of these Arab men ragdoll you, because they don't play that shit at all. If you allow these women to practice this feminist ideology in Iran, you're going to have a lot of lesbian women turning into Queen Latifah. And what's going to happen is that one of these Arab men are going to ragdoll one of these dykes. That's what I'm trying to prevent from happening. I'm not trying to be homophobic. I'm telling you what I seen in real life.
Yeah, and they laws
And
probably don't protect the
just
women
like it
like
happens
ours.
in the black culture, in the white, I've seen white girls act like stud. I mean, they're studs too. What's gonna happen? One of these Arab girls, one of these Iranian girls, they're gonna be brainwashed with all this Western feminist, lesbian, whatever, and they're gonna get him one of these Arab dudes' faces, and he's gonna ragdoll them.
Chaotic.
Yes.
I've said before that it's the men's fault. Everything that you see around this country right now is the men's fault. Because men,
Yep.
if they were to be men, they could handle this problem like that. The problem of masculine women, women who think they are equal to or are stronger than a man. If men were allowed to be men and naturally do, this problem would not exist. But the problem is men are so restrained and grabbed by their webbles right now that they cannot be men and do what they're naturally able to do. This is the only reason why we have women believing that they are stronger or as strong.
That's so real.
It's men's fault.
People are telling me to preach. Yeah, I'm not that old, man, but I'm telling you, what happens here can happen anywhere else. And I'm telling you, you think it's just protest one day. Amir, let me tell you something. And I'm not trying to, clown you for not being a part of the legendary decade of the 90s. But Amir, the 90s was so different in America compared to now. Oh, Driscoll, tell her about the 90s, sir. It was it was almost like it was a different reality.
No, I was even talking about that. People don't even realize you don't even got to go back to the 90s, how much has changed since the Obama administration, where it became normal to see gay people married and stuff like that. That was not a commonality even in the early 2000s.
No, it wasn't. And a lot of this
stuff transgender.
Never. And Amir, and all I'm saying is that just like overnight, this country has changed. You get canceled for your own opinions. You can't proudly say which side. I mean, you can't proudly say that you're a Republican. See, you could do all that in the 90s. So just like in Iran, you may think one day it's just protesting and women are upset and they're cutting their hair off. The next thing you know, you will have Cardi B's, Meg Thee Stallions. You will have all that shit going on in Iran overnight. That's what I'm trying to prevent. And I'm not even Iranian. I have no interest in Iran. I just respect the fact that Iran is an ancient culture. And that I'm telling you, overnight, your culture can be destroyed by this Western feminist nonsense.
Do women serve in the military over there?
I hope not.
If they do serve, I do believe Iran does allow women to serve, but of course they're in different positions.
Okay.
They're allowed to serve if I'm not wrong.
Guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. P. Rothstein, I doubt that's his last name, but salute to you, says, I am a 46-year-old black man, and the way the country has turned out is unbelievable, shocking. And it makes no sense. 30 years ago when I was in high school, the world was totally different. Yeah, it was. It was, man. I'm telling you, Amir, listen, I can't really describe it, but the 90s, man, and I mind you, I'm biased about it, but I always say it was the greatest decade ever. It was just a different environment. You know, Amir, in the 90s, did you ever hear of a show called Married with Children?
Bundy.
Yeah. Now, in the show was almost prophetic because in the show, there was a group that he started. It was called No Ma'am, the National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. They used to openly talk about fat women, ugly women, etc. Nobody better than I. That TV show now wouldn't last 2 episodes. Now,
right.
Look at what's happened in society now. When I was a kid, a 5 foot tall, 200-pound female would never in her right mind disrespect a man because she knows, okay, I got to get married one day. I got to be with somebody. I better be careful because I know that this man, he could, a girl like that would cook, clean, do your homework. Driscoll, when you were in high school, how many fat girls did your homework? And how many, think about it. You know how many fat girls did my homework in high school? And I was smart.
Yeah.
Think about what social media has done. It has empowered the ugly girls now.
There was no Lizzo in the 90s.
Oh, Lizzo, please.
Yeah, that didn't exist.
If this was the 90s, Amir, Lizzo would have been
Laughed off.
She would have been like a character in like a Wayne's Brothers movie, like a almost like a clown character, like a Baby D type character. Remember Baby D in Next Friday? And she wasn't even that bad of a character, but she would a Lizzo never. She would have never existed. But social media is telling women and men lies now, and we're all living in these. Go ahead.
Even my uncle asked me just yesterday, actually, he asked me, why do these women put these filters on? You know, if the man is going to see you in real life eventually anyway, so why are you making these filters and looking like a person? Because when he finally sees you, he's going to be disappointed. It's better to even look worse on camera and look better in person than to.
I don't know if I'm out of touch on that, Amira. I just found out about that. Like, I didn't know that there were filters that could completely transform your face. And somebody showed me that recently. She showed me what she looks like on her OnlyFans account, just showing me how these guys give her money for feet pics and all that. And I'm just sitting there listening. I'm looking at her and I'm like, who's paying for your feet pics? And when she showed me the picture that she posted online, it terrified me.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I would hate to be a single guy out here right now.
A normal nerd says Missy Elliott is a close Izzo. No, she's not. Missy Elliott, even though she was overweight,
she dressed modestly to a degree.
She dressed modestly, but Missy Elliott was a artist. She was talented. Oh, she was super talented. I would even put her in the top 10 of all time, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is that Amir, you know, you were born in 97, so you probably don't really remember a lot of things from the 90s or the early 2000s. But Amir, I could tell you,
2000s was nice, like the first decade of the 2000s.
Yeah, I could tell you things changed overnight, and 1 minute everybody's bashing the LGBTQ community, and the people didn't really bash it. We just didn't talk about it. It's like, okay, you like sucking, okay, we didn't talk about it.
It was in the closet. It was in the closet.
It was in the closet. But now
you weren't out here holding hands in public.
No,
you know, with men, you weren't doing that.
But see, Driscoll, the problem is that it's not that these people are LGBTQ. It's that they're forcing you to accept their beliefs. If you don't practice it, if you don't want your kids taught by somebody, then you're the problem. See, that's the problem. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen in Iran. It's going to happen in Iran.
I don't think, well, okay. You know, you might be right. I mean, you might be right because, but the only reason I say it wouldn't is because the Iranians hate America. They are like the country that really don't like America. This is why Iran is always trying to get like nuclear weapons and so on, because I think that they secretly really want to work with Russia, China, North Korea, and all the other communist countries to go against the liberal world.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the reason why I think they wouldn't, but who knows? Who knows? What's happening?
I'm just putting up some people. Yeah. So if you're Iranian, be prepared. It's like that song in Lion King, be prepared. Because I'm telling you, you 1 minute you're they're just protesting, they're just doing this. And the next minute, overnight, your country will look totally different. Truth be told, we could take it back a few years. This country looks totally different after the George Floyd riots.
Obama.
I mean, everything is racist now. Every fucking thing is racist now.
Police are terrified to even make an arrest if you black.
Dude, I saw the police just yesterday. A dude was acting crazy in the street, talking about the road is insane, and dude was going crazy, flinging his arms. The police escorted this dude in the back of the police car. They were so afraid to put him in cuffs. I said, look at these soft police officers now. They're like, can you just please get into the car? Please, They're pleading with this man, pleading with him.
That's black
If this
supremacy.
was the 90s, they'd have cracked him over the side of the head with that Billy Club. Say, man, get your ass in this car. Go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
No, I say it all the time. We got the privilege now.
Wow.
Black privilege is alive and well today because they
And
terrified of us.
and you know what's so crazy? You know what black privilege does? It creates real racist. Amir, there were no racists before, and to be honest with you. But there's probably going to be some racists now because, again, you are introducing things into society that are just totally against whatever the culture is or the paradigm is.
I believe that. I believe that you're making them because, I mean, call me crazy, but in those times, like when I was younger,
After that flat earth comment shit, we probably going to be calling you crazy a little bit more, but go ahead.
It didn't seem like people hated each other or saw color as much. It wasn't as important. Like your color wasn't as important. Like on TV shows where it's like you have to have someone of this color, this color, this color in order to seem diverse. All of that. It was just there were I don't know. It just seems worse now, and people are getting more racist. Even I feel more racist.
Well, we already know that. But yeah, I mean, even me sometimes, sometimes I feel racist. Especially towards blacks. But no, I'm playing. No, here goes the thing though. I don't want to keep talking in circles. I'm probably gonna end it at the 2-hour mark. Anybody can cam up. Driscoll, you've been awesome, man. Thank you so much for contributing. I'm gonna just wait here for another 13 minutes. Unless somebody cams up. But I think this has been a great topic of conversation. I know it's hard talking about international topics, particularly topics in the Middle East, being as though the Middle East is not it's not Western over there, other than maybe like Dubai, maybe. But I don't even really think Dubai is fully Westernized either. I think they have a lot of heavy Muslim influence still in the country, but I think that there's a lot of preventive measures that need to be taken.
I can give you the liberal countries in the Middle East. The most liberal countries in the Middle East. I would say probably Lebanon is number one. Egypt is pretty liberal, but it depends on what part. Dubai is very liberal because Dubai is just like another Europe inside of the Middle East.
Yeah.
Bahrain is a little bit liberal because they have a lot of tourism. And Turkey is pretty liberal.
Yeah.
I think
Afghanistan is certainly not liberal, right?
You can liberally get your head cut off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw videos in Afghanistan. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a beautiful country though. In terms of the you've been to Afghanistan, right, Driscoll?
I have not been to Afghanistan.
Okay, where did you serve at, if you don't mind me asking?
Mostly in the Pacific. I was doing Westpac stuff.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what Westpac is. Whatever it is, it sounds like you were providing for my freedom. So thank you so much, sir. I don't know what the hell Westpac is. It sounds like you were just providing for me and Amir's freedom. Amir, you don't drink, right? Why don't you drink?
I mean, I've never been in that environment to think that it's something normal, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I've never...
You know what's going to happen in Iran if those women get their way? You will have women drinking, going out to the clubs, acting a fool.
Is that not a thing currently?
In Iran, I have no idea. Is that a thing currently in Iran right now, Amir?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think so. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have clubs over there, but I don't know if the women are just... I'm pretty sure their clubs are not like clubs in America.
Oh, no, yeah.
Obviously. Where there's women, black and white, passed out on the sidewalk. And I got to stop knocking the women too, men too, acting a fool. I just don't want that to happen to those ancient people, you know.
Tariq, relax. I'm saying in general, Turkey is a pretty liberal country. There could be laws that are conservative there. There could be things that are conservative. But in general, the people are more liberal, especially in this.
Liberal extends beyond LGBT. That's just a pocket of it.
Now, Obi says chaotic wearing the hijab doesn't make you a good Muslim. Obviously, Obi just must have came in the last 3 seconds. I clearly am not saying that wearing a hijab makes you a good person. Wearing a hijab brings about a certain level of order. It's the equivalent of banning alcohol. You ban alcohol, you don't have DUI crashes, right? So that's all I'm saying. But Amir, I would like, so since nobody else is coming up, I would like to talk about your mental health for the next 10 minutes. You said that the earth is flat. Now, I could argue that
You might get your video taken down, bro. I'm just gonna warn you.
Ooh.
That's a topic down like.
No, it won't. It won't. Trust me, I know. It won't.
Okay.
Now, Amir, you said that the earth is flat. I certainly don't believe that. I just don't believe that these space organizations, NASA, I don't think that 20,000 people are lying about the Earth's orbit. I mean, the Earth's being a sphere. Now, I will agree with you. I, like you, and 99.99999% of humanity has never left Earth's lower atmosphere.
Right?
But if you just use common sense and you look at celestial bodies with your own naked eye or telescopes, you can see that every other celestial body is spherical. So why is it that the Earth is not spherical?
Well, I I was honestly just giving you a different perspective, because when you, as a person who's religious, believe that we are a creation, and I think that there's a reason why things are so far away from us, that we can't go anywhere else and we can't experience other places because we're supposed to be here. I believe that um, God created us in this way that, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that the earth is flat per se, but it's flat.
So do you believe that we are living on an infinite plane and we are a part of like some sort of ice pond?
I believe that we are humans that were made by a creator experiencing a life. I don't know what the shape is. I believe that we're experiencing a life here that we're supposed to experience. No matter the shape of the thing that we're on, it's, I don't know.
Now,
And to be
I'm sorry.
honest, I'm not a flat earther, guys.
Do you
I'm not a flat earther. But
do you
there,
do you believe that we've went to the moon?
I believe that the first mission to the moon failed, and I believe that they did that because they didn't want Russia to outbeat us. Because at that time we were in a fight against Russia to be the world superpower, and I believe that America did what she had to do to make sure that we would be seen as number one on the world. So if that meant us going to the moon and failing and us having to make it up into a studio, yes, I could believe that happened. But I believe that the second time and the third time that people have gone to the moon have been real. I believe the other.
Do you believe that we are hybrids created by a ancient alien race? We are crossbred with apes and alien DNA.
Can I get a question or two in here when you?
Absolutely, Driscoll. I want to go down this rabbit hole real quick. Amir, go ahead.
I do not. There was a spark in humanity. If you notice, if you look back in time, we went from being very primitive and drawing on cave walls to building pyramids all of a sudden. And people can't explain that spark of intelligence that came upon us as a species. I wonder about that, but yeah.
Go ahead, Driscoll. You're on mute, sir.
You're muted.
Chaotic, what is your faith background, if you don't mind?
I believe in reality.
Okay. So you don't believe in a creator?
I believe that there is a possibility of a creator.
Okay.
I believe that the creator, I have different theories on a creator. I'm not absolutely sure. I do believe that if there is a creator, the creator is an individual, not an individual, but something that is beyond space and time. Probably it could be a multiplicity of beliefs. It could be the Abrahamic belief that's in the Bible. It could even be a computer simulation.
Okay.
I would even argue that even in the Bible, the story of Jesus may even be a computer program. Like, this is the new way. Think about a program. Like, this is the new program. Of course, we're interpreting it from our primitive brains. But what if the story of Jesus is a new, like they say, the Old and the New Testament? What if the Old Testament is just Windows 10 in the New Testament is Windows 12. Who knows?
Fair enough. So with that said, then, do you believe that we evolved from primates?
I believe that we did not evolve from primates. I believe that we are primates, and
Okay.
we still are the primate.
Okay.
We are just a highly evolved, or we are just a superior ape. If you look at the bonobo, if you look at the chimpanzee, I know a lot of people don't want to admit this, but we look like these creatures. We have digits like them. We have fingerprints like them. Um, we have lips, noses, and ears like them. I would argue that we probably have the same common ancestor. Obviously, we divulge or diverge somewhere down the line. Maybe a lot of scientists believe like 100,000 years ago. But even when
Way
we,
more than that.
well, a lot of scientists, Amir, believe that modern man, the way that we exist now, we were 100,000 years old. But again, I have no idea. I was born in 1984. Yeah, I have no idea. These are just theories and conjectures. Go ahead, Driscoll. These are great
No, no,
questions.
no, no. Yeah, I was just asking because the idea of the globe has to appeal to people who do not believe in solidly in the creator, because if you do, it goes completely against the biblical depiction of creation. There was no planetary anything mentioned. It was God created heaven and earth. He created the sun and the moon. And I mean, if you really study the scripture and every aspect of it, there's even a scripture that says the sun is what moves and revolves around the earth, not the other way around. And to me, that makes more sense. When you look up, if we were not trained to believe what we were taught, we would never assume that we're moving around the sun. It visually looks like the sun is the one that's moving. And then they say that the sun is supposed to be 93 million miles away from us. That scientifically makes no sense for something 93 million miles away from us to allow us to feel its heat.
What? Mr.
Well,
Driscoll?
well, Driscoll, you bring up a good point.
Okay.
According to mathematics, a particular branch is trigonometry. They use triangulation to figure out the measurement between at any given point the moon. I'm sorry, our star, which is the sun, and the Earth. Um, the reason why you feel the heat is because the sun is absolutely astronomically huge. And the what is it, radiation, is very hot, and we are in the habitable zone, and that's why we can feel it, supposedly. I don't have a, I mean,
Well,
that's what we were taught, but go
Sounds
ahead.
intelligently perfectly placed if
Yeah.
that were the case. Yeah.
but I
Go
want
ahead,
to
Amira.
I want to say some reason why. I understand what you're saying about the distance, but you understand that space is a vacuum. There's no, there's nothing there to prevent these particles from getting to us. If that makes sense, vacuum. Outside is there's you cannot even hear anything. There's no sound out there. That's only inside of our atmosphere that we can have air and sound and waves like that come here. So this is the reason why we can still feel the heat in here, because we have an atmosphere covering us. So when these sun rays enter, they get trapped in the atmosphere and it makes us warm.
So it's a vacuum, as in things get sucked in. So how do
No,
planets stay in place?
vacuum is a lack of anything. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Nothing there. That's a vacuum, not the vacuum tool that you use.
So what gives the power for the planets to move?
Gravity. And
Gravity coming from what? The sun?
no,
From your
gravity is a fabric within the universe. It exists for a few reasons, right? If you look at uh the rings around Saturn, if you ever had the opportunity to see Saturn with a telescope, you see that Saturn obviously had maybe a moon or something. I don't know why it was destroyed. I don't know. But Saturn has around it um, particles of, I believe, a moon. And you see it, it's you see maybe half of it is underneath it or whatever, underneath the particles. Well, why is it that the rocks are there floating around it? Obviously, there's something there that is holding the planet up. It's gravity. And even if you look at our own moon, you know that gravity exists because the moon is there. It's like it's caught up in some sort of field. I mean, why? How else would the moon be there? In the how else would it orbit? I guess the Earth, right?
No, you got amazing questions,
I
and
mean,
the
yeah.
reason I can't answer them is because we're looking through different lenses. I don't believe there's an outer space. I believe the sun and the moon are right here revolving around us, and just like the Bible says, the sun is the light for the day, and the moon is the light for the night. That's exactly how the Bible described it, and they're the exact same size when you look at them. We're told that the sun is huge, but they visually look like contrasting objects.
Could it be that the sun literally is 93 million miles away and the moon is 113,000 miles away?
It's
And
just
they
a
may
matter of what you believe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Don't you guys think it's beautiful that our bodies are so complex and they are the way that they are, that you don't have to think about your heart to make it beat? It just does it. That
Yeah.
you're
Beautiful.
Yeah.
yourself, that works perfect, better than any that we could ever make, because you can heal yourself. Even we can make machines, they won't be able to heal themselves. We are able to heal ourselves when you get cut and you don't even think about it. I also think about like how the trees, how when we breathe, we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide or dioxide, I believe. And then the plants, they inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. It's a perfect balance between us. And I don't think that just came out of nowhere. I refuse to believe that it just happened. It was a coincidence, because it just is all too perfect.
It's definitely not a coincidence. And one more point for my Bible believers out there. Don't forget that Joshua ordered the sun to stand still. Now, you can try to find a poetic way to make sense of that.
Yeah.
Or you can look at it rationally and say, I can't tell something that is not moving to stand still until we're done with it. That's just something to think about. If you go, I sent in the back chat a link of the map of the square and stationary Earth from the Library of Congress. This was the known routine belief in America prior to NASA's formation. And I really believe that all of this is to hide our creator, because the real depiction of the Earth that we always have had prior to NASA's formation depicted heaven right directly above us. There was no endless intergalactic space. That leaves the idea that we're an accident.
Now, you brought up a good point about gravity, right?
Okay.
So I'm about to go somewhere that is very complex, I believe. Do you know what extragalactic space is?
No.
Okay, so extragalactic space is so intergalactic would be the space within a galaxy. Okay. Extragalactic, according to theoretical physics, according to science or astronomy, is the space between galaxies and other galaxies.
Okay.
A galactic cluster is pretty much a series of galaxies. Of course, we can't see it because we're on Earth. But if you were to go outside, I mean, if you were to go, I don't know, 1 billion light years in a direction, you probably could see all these galaxies, right? Could it be that gravity is formed by the spinning, like, the galaxies are all spinning, and within the galaxies, the galaxy itself is spinning, and the objects in the galaxy are spinning? Maybe space is just nothing, where gravity is created through the spinning of objects with mass.
That's exactly what it is. That's why bigger objects, when they move, they attract things. That's why the sun can hold 7, 8 planets in rotation, and Jupiter can hold how many ever moons. I think it has 14 moons or something like that. Saturn, 80 something moons. This is the reason why, because the bigger you are, the more gravity force or what's it called? Not attraction. You understand, gravitational pull that it brings. Gosh, my words. Oh, my English. Are
Yeah,
you guys ready?
that's just, to me, that's a lot. You know, I
Yeah.
honestly think NASA is getting paid to create sci-fi stories.
Let's get you up out of here.
Ah,
Sit up here and let you disrespect NASA like that. Go ahead, Driscoll. You got the floor, man.
No, I mean, but and I respect that, because when I first went down this rabbit hole, the idea angered me. So I'm not telling you to believe what I'm saying. I'm just trying to give you something to look into, because NASA actually has digital artists that create every picture that you see
That's
online.
true. That's true.
Those are not photographs, but most people in the chat laughing think those are photographs. They're not. So it's like, we have created an entire image of the universe based on literal artistic pictures.
Yeah, I was I had never thought about it, but every picture of the Milky Way, it crossed my mind about last year. I said, wait a minute, every picture of the Milky Way is a created picture.
It looks just like the movies when we
We've
watch
never
these
been outside
Hollywood
the Milky
CGI.
Way. Yeah, so it's the truth.
you can see the Milky Way if you go north. I mean, I can see it here from my area in the wintertime. You can see the Milky Way. You can see the thing. Oh, but I wanted to also tell you about the God, I lost my mind. Never mind.
You can see the Amir, you can see the Milky Way galaxy, which is 100,000 light years across.
Yes, just like we see stars that are very, very far away from us, we can still see them. Just like that, we can see the Milky Way, especially in the northern regions of the world. You can see it clearly in certain times of the year. You can see the arms of the Milky Way. This is why they say that the world is round, because in space there is no sense of up and down. There's only gravitational pull. So this is the reason why someone could be standing in Australia, which is at the bottom for us, it is south, and they can still have their hair go down and not look like this because they're hanging. They're not hanging because there is no up and down in space. There's only gravitational pull. Does that make sense? So for them, we are south of them. Like, does that make sense? Like, we're at their feet and they're at our feet. If you can understand what.
Makes sense.
2 questions and then I'm done.
Go ahead, sir. I got to get up out of here too.
Yeah. 2 questions and then I'm done. First question.
Jasmine's lights. I love it.
I don't even want to ask this question because every time I ask, people lie. So I'm just going to make a statement. Next time you're on an airplane, I want you to look out across the world and really think to yourself, do I see a curve? And just be honest and objective. Because at 10,000 feet, you should be able to see some level of a curve. Also, I want you to study the pilot's instruments. If there was a curve, then there's a mathematical equation for the amount that they would have to dip the nose as they're flying over the earth to stay within the atmosphere. That does not exist. They literally have autopilot that flies directly in a straight trajectory for the entire trip, rather you're going from Japan to America or anywhere across the world. There is never a dip at any point in their flight. Second question. Go ahead.
Wait a little bit. Do you know how minusculely small that dip would have to be for you to notice it as a person flying? For us, I
didn't say notice it. I said look up if they have to even make the account for it. Pilots will say, there are pilots who interview that say they don't do anything. It flies straight the entire time.
But you're traveling inside of the atmosphere. It's just you're on a truck, you jump up, you're still going to land on the truck. You're not going to get outside the force of that truck moving. If you stand in the back of a truck and you jump, you're going to get back in that truck. Why didn't you divert to the back? Why didn't you fall off? If the truck is moving, you should have missed it when you went back down.
You're saying if you're on top of a truck in the bed and you jump while the truck is moving?
Right. If you jump up and down on a truck and it's moving, by your logic, because that truck is moving, I should come down and hit the ground instead of. But because you're moving with the gravitational force of the object that you're on, you still stay with it.
Do you think that would be the case for, I'm talking about moving thousands of miles though?
That's what I'm saying. So your point is even harder to prove because the world is so big, and you would not even have a concept of the little bit degree that the plane is going to have to dip. And
you're moving the goalposts. I didn't say that we conceptualize it. I said that they don't move at all.
Now, Driscoll, You've been a great panelist. You have a great setup, great mic. But now here goes the thing, sir. I think
Okay.
you've been watching a lot of Eddie Bravo. I think, and I've heard these talking points from Eddie Bravo. You
I've
know,
never heard of them, but I'm gonna check
oh,
them out.
okay. I think you're lying. I think you've heard of Eddie Bravo, sir. Joe
No, I really
Rogan.
haven't, but I'm gonna look them
Okay,
up
I'm
now.
joking with you. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Now you make good arguments. I gotta agree with you on that.
I mean, because
Um,
in my last question, and I'm gonna leave it here, is
Go
that
ahead.
if we got a spinning ball, 70% water,
Yeah.
I just want to see one example on Earth where we can do that and the water doesn't fall.
There is a scientific reason for that.
Okay,
I don't want to butcher an explanation.
cool.
Um, I believe one of the reasons why the water is not coming off of the earth is because of gravity. I don't think that you can master that experiment at a small scale. You do bring up a good point. I've thought about that before. I'm pretty sure there's a scientific explanation for it. I got to look it up.
Absolutely.
But hey man, this has been a great conversation. Driscoll, any last words, sir? Keep it real.
Nah, man. I just appreciate y'all letting me come up, have an open dialogue. Aside from that, man, keep doing what you're doing, putting that truth out
Absolutely.
here.
Centrifugal. Oh man, dang, I'm
I've
butchering the
heard of
word.
it. Yeah, they got a
Centrifugal
term for
force
everything,
holds the
but
water. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Driscoll. J Boss says, CT, why are no lakes convex mirrors? They are all flat mirrors. What the hell? Simeon says a mirror is a weirdo. Why would you say that?
He's been hating on me the whole
Okay.
stream. It's fine.
Amir, this has been a great live stream. You were the resident person of Middle Eastern descent, so obviously you have a better knowledge base on your people. Thank you so much for helping me out and clearing some things up. The language is not called Persian, which I was under the assumption it was called Farsi. Farsi.
Farsi.
Farsi. Thank you so
Farsi.
much. The Persians were a part of a great kingdom at one point. They had a collaborative empire with the Medes or Medo. I don't know what they were called. But yeah, they were real powers at once. And Amir, did you know that the Persians were black?
Oh my God.
No.
Okay.
Now you know
Okay.
I'm not like that. I'm just saying, hey, look, there's a lot of artwork that I've seen. You've seen it too. Those look like blacks to me. But go ahead. What's your explanation?
Just because there are people that have brown skin in the past does not make them sub-Saharan black. And that's what I'm saying. There's people who are dark skinned all over the world. There's Indians that are darker than most black people I know. So dark skin does not make a person black or sub-Saharan black. Dark skin is simply that, dark skin.
Now, you do have to admit this, though. A lot of the Persian artwork, now, correct me if I'm wrong, the Persians were Babylonians, right?
I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is that they were
No, they weren't
an
Babylonians
empire.
because the Babylonians were their own kingdom. But there's a lot of Persian depictions with nappy hair. What say you?
I would have to see it. I mean, I would have to see it. What do you mean by nappy? Do you mean curly or do you mean like
curly.
afro? Because afro and curly are different. Curly hair, I mean, Arabs have curly hair. We have very curly. My hair is curly. My father's hair is very, very curly. But, I mean, what did it look like to you?
That looks like nappy hair to me. But nevertheless, I'll take your word for it.
Wait, I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm talking about kinky hair.
Yeah, you said in the picture it looked kinky, or did it look curly?
Curly.
Curly. So curly hair exists everywhere. Did you know that there are people who are like Viking, like super white, that have that grade of hair too? That hair is not only. Oh, you okay? Got it?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean that hair is. It's not just unique to one race.
Now, Tariq said Arabs were originally sub-Saharan black.
Sub-African, he said.
Oh, sub-African.
That's what
Black,
he said.
sub-Saharan, same thing. Those Arabs mix and their skin tone whiten. Yeah, we don't. I don't really know all of that to be
Wait, who
true.
did they mix?
Yeah, I
Who
don't
did
know
they
who they
mix
mixed
with?
with. I was just
That
trying
doesn't
to
make
poke.
sense.
I was just trying to say that the Persians were black. I don't know if they were or not, but they are an awesome group of people. Amir, any last words? What say you?
Um, when he says that they mix, the thing is who they mix with, because supposedly we all came out of Africa, which doesn't mean that everyone looked sub-Saharan black. There were different people, different colors, different hairstyles, hair types, and so on. People moved, and I think they started changing more. People slowly started changing even more as they got further away from le motherland. So, I mean, to say who they mix with, if they were all traveling, as the first humans and moving, what is that, eastward from Africa,
Mhm.
eastward? So then who were they mixing with is the question. The
Mm,
people just naturally changed, genetically changed. In our view, in the religious view, God made different tribes, and this is the reason why we're different. This is the reason why we have differences. And in our religious view, we need to learn how to get along with one another, despite our
absolutely.
differences.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amir. Health and Healing, you've been knocking them out the box with this super chats, with your super chats. Thank you for everybody who came in
Oh,
and contributed to the conversation. Like I said before, these conversations about international affairs, though hard, we can definitely give some sort of opinion and perspective on it. Simeon, thank you so much, sir. Driscoll, thank you so much. Amir, what say you? You about to say something else? Go ahead.
before you go, I wanted to ask you, what did you take from the conversation? I mean, I don't know if you have to go really quickly, but I wanted to ask you, what did you take from the conversation today? Did it change your mind at all on the view of Iran, or anything else scientifically? Do you believe that the Earth is flat like I do? God's
No,
green
I would
flat Earth?
never believe that the Earth is flat. And in terms of Iran, I didn't take anything other than what I already came in talking about. That Iran is a great country, ancient history, and they should suppress any type of feminist behavior, ideology at all cost, because
Mm.
you're going to end up having a country, a Los Angeles sized country in a minute if you keep on letting those women protest.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's true. Okay. All right. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna see what happens. And as for the comment of Ty saying, like, ask her if her father would approve of her marrying a dark African, sir, I'm already married, thank you. And I guess the point is to say, like, if I don't marry a black person, I'm racist. Is that what the I
Um,
see this
Amir,
commonly. I see this so
unfortunately,
commonly.
unfortunately, Amir, our validation as a people is always based on uh what we want other groups of people to feel like. If my opinion, Amir, your dad has all right to tell you not to bring home a black person at all. If I was a father, I would prefer my daughter to bring home a black African or a black man. Most men want their daughters to be with whatever racial group they are a part of. There's nothing wrong with that. So, Amir, if I were you, I would proudly admit what your father would say, and he would definitely say he wants you to bring home an Arab. And there's nothing wrong with that. So
Well,
salute.
I've told everyone before, and it seems like no one can accept my answer because they prefer that I look more racist than I am. I mean, if you want to call me racist, you have fun. But I already answered this many times. I already said the most important thing is that I marry a Muslim. He has to be Muslim. I
Yeah.
don't know about the color, whatever. Would my family prefer that I stayed in my own race? Yes, of course. But
Hmm.
if I were to marry outside of my race, he'd have to be Muslim first.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. I'm sorry it's not as racist as everyone is expecting it to be.
Yeah.
That I'm going to be like, oh, no, 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 black, dark man, I can't. Sorry, guys. It's just annoying. That's all. Just the idea that if I don't marry a black person, that I'm racist.
Amir, there's nothing wrong with what you said. There's nothing wrong with you having racial pride. I wish more blacks had racial pride. We always are worried about what white people think. Oh, if what would her dad think? Blah blah. Who cares? Worry
Mm.
about what a black woman, worry about what a black man would think about his black daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the question too. I wanted to ask you. What would a family say if a black man brought home me, like in a hypothetical situation?
Not gonna lie to you, Amir, they would love you. Blacks love anything white.
I'm not white.
Well, I mean, I know you're not white, but to common people, you look, yeah. that you would come off as white or Italian, one of the two.
I guess.
Yeah, but no, they would love the fact that you came home. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I just, yeah. Thank you, Chaotic, for having me today. I'm really happy. I really enjoyed the conversation. I
absolutely,
always do. Yeah,
absolutely.
I
Now,
really
Amir,
always
I do
do.
have a question for you. Would you date if you weren't married? Would you date a midget, about 4'2"?
No,
If he was
I
Muslim,
wouldn't.
if he was Muslim,
No, no, I
you're
still wouldn't.
you're a heightist.
No, it's just because I wouldn't, because me being of normal stature, being, I wouldn't want my children. If I don't know if the children come out
How
that
tall are
size
you?
as well. I'm 5'5", 5'6"
Okay.
on a good day. So, I mean, I wouldn't want my children to have to suffer through that kind of issue if it's not necessary. And
Yeah.
I want to prepare my children for the best future possible. So I would try to avoid any genetic issues, any mental issues, and any financial issues that they would have to, I
Yeah.
think, what would you do? Would you?
Would I what?
Would you marry a midget?
Oh, if I wasn't married to my wife, absolutely not. I don't like short women.
Wait, your wife is taller than you?
Yeah, she's. I don't want to see. I almost gave away my height by saying her damn height. See, y'all almost got me.
I
Yeah.
want to know.
No, no.
Tell us.
Okay. She's 5'11". Okay, so just think about how tall I am now.
Wow.
Now,
That's
I'm
that's
not
all. Is she a
super.
model?
No, she's not a model. No, no, no. She's not a
Oh.
model. No, she's
Natural
5'11".
Empress says, oh, she's what, 5'11"? She says that word is now derogatory, Chaotic. The word midget.
I'm a conservative. I openly say things that I think about. I'm sorry. Uh, let me
I
see.
mean, with midget, everything that we say is going to eventually be banned. So I really don't care. The word is
Yeah,
midget. Just like retarded is a real thing.
yeah.
No matter if you're offended by it, it's still a real thing.
Amir, when I was a kid in the '90s, it was nothing like saying you retarded to someone, and it was just a word that was in common use. And I swear, if you're over 30 and you're in the chat, tell me that word wasn't common in the '90s. You
Mm.
teachers used to say it, people in the street, adults used to say it. When you retarded or something, Amir, that's what I'm talking about, Amir. That's why I say it was beautiful living in the '90s. The word
Yikes.
retarded was just as normal as apple pie.
Can I also ask you this? What
Go ahead.
about gay couples in the 90s? Like, were they shunned? Like, was it a
Who?
time gay people, like couples, if you're walking down the street and a woman and women are holding hands, or men and men are holding hands, kissing in the
Well, here
street?
goes the thing. In the '90s, it was a lot of those things were like in the closet. Like unless you live like in LA or you live like what's that part of New York?
Manhattan,
No,
Brooklyn, Long Island,
it's a part of
Albany.
New York that anyway, the Village. The
Okay.
Village, Los Angeles, it was like I guess it was normal there, but you couldn't be out and about. Thank you for that
Thank you,
$20 super
Ash.
chat. Ash says, I rock with the mirror. Thank you for your words
Thank
and
you.
comments on today's show. Salute to you, ma'am. Yeah, you couldn't be
Thank you so much, Ash.
people, Amir, I'm not gonna lie to you. In the '90s, people kept it in the closet. So if somebody were to be doing that, you probably would be looked at weird. And if it were somebody older, they probably would have said, why y'all holding hands?
Were they spit on in the streets like everyone's acting
No,
like it was now?
nobody would attack you. No, no, hell
Mm.
no, no, no. Mm-mm.
Mm.
Mm-mm. Nobody attacks you. In fact, the gay dudes in the '90s, you listen, they may have been gay, but they had hands. Yeah, they had hands. Yeah, I saw a gay dude beat the crap out of a thug one time. Yeah, I don't know what they were fighting for, but that dude got mopped. It was in high school, but I was younger. It was these were high school kids. Yeah, he got mopped. Yeah,
No,
yeah, he got
that
mopped.
must be so embarrassing, because how are you going to save face after that when a guy who's like feminine looking or feminine acting?
Yeah, but no, I mean, I don't recall like attacks. It could have been, but I think now you probably are going to get more attacks because now you're forcing people to accept a certain behavior.
In the 90s, people would hide their kids from it. See? And
Yeah,
that's
like it
the
wasn't
opposite we
anything
have now.
violent. I just remember people just like it wasn't like people shunned you. It was like they may, somebody may have called you a sissy or something, but no, it wasn't. No, no. Don't believe any of these things where they say you'd have gotten killed or no.
That's what they make it seem like. They make it
Never,
seem
no,
like people were
never,
getting like.
never, no. In the '90s, no, the '90s was real cool. No, Now,
Yeah, some people are saying there were attacks though, but
yeah, I mean, it may have been, but it wasn't. No. Yeah, it
someone
probably
said
wasn't.
smack fire.
It probably was a tax if you were living like in rural West Virginia, maybe, but nah, nah, no.
I mean, I wish we could go back. I wish we could go back to a time when people just were more logical and where me and you wouldn't be seen as something so strange, or the people here,
Yeah,
the audience that are with us, they think like us. Well, I'm not going to offend some of you. Some of you guys are like, no, we don't like you. That's fine. But the people who are here, the majority of us, have a logical mind.
yeah,
And we're seen so different today.
yeah,
Like we're seen as like something special when back then I believe, well, the way you make it seem is that it was something normal. This is how people were normally. We were like
yeah.
this.
Openly talked about these.
Mm,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It was
yeah.
nothing for back in the day for somebody to say that little boy right there, he a sissy. See, that's how old black women used to talk back in the day. See, if you were in third, fourth grade, and guys, please don't troll and say that was you, CT. That wasn't me. It was I had classmates who had some sugar in their tank, and even the teachers used to say it. Even the teachers used to say he got a little sugar in his tank openly. Yeah, openly they used to openly say it. Hey, anybody in the chat, tell me I'm lying. Tell me those teachers back in the day never said those things. Those Amir in the '90s teachers, they could be white or black. They would say, "Yeah, he got a little sugar in his tank," which is switch.
What?
Wow, yeah.
With a what?
In the '90s,
No,
in
no,
the
no. Say the
'90s,
last part. Just the last part that you
in the
said.
'90s. Let me bring back up Drico. Driscoll. Okay, I don't know where he's at. In the '90s, teachers used to say,
J Boss.
"Stop switching." But
Switching.
he got some sugar in his tank. That's what teachers used to say. J Boss says
Wait, switching what?
switching like
Switching what?
walking like a girl. Yeah. Yeah, they're walking
That's
like
switching?
imagine like a little boy walking like a little girl. Uh
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. CC said facts. Seven still said straight facts. SM1 says my teacher referred to himself as being light in the loafers. It says speaking facts. Yeah,
Light
Amir, I'm
loafer?
telling you. See, this
Wait,
is
I want you to read Boss's thing when you can. Read his thing.
what you say.
I want you to read his comment whenever you get a chance to.
Let me see. J Boss says CT Amir. People with a logical mind are an elite in every race. We just have to look at ourselves and not keep trying to convince the plebes or plebeians.
Look out for ourselves.
Where's that at? Oh, look out for ourselves. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. That's why I want to stay with people who are more logical, who aren't afraid to just say it as it is, because these are the people that I trust more than those who just, tell me something to make me feel good, or, I'd rather you just be honest with me. If you don't, even the people who talk to me who say they don't like me, I prefer you say it like that than to lie to me and
Right.
smile and,
Let me see. Eugene says black English.
So
Go ahead.
switching is because you are switching shoulders like that,
Switching
or
hips. Switching your hips.
switching, oh, hips.
Yeah. Amir, listen, I'm telling you, in the 90s, and you really got to talk to a lot of black people. Ask them. Ask them. Hey, in the 90s, what did they used to say about the LGBTQ community? Oh, black. What? We had, I'm telling you, teachers let you be, listen, I may have cried once in elementary school. You know what the teachers used to say? Little boys don't cry. That's what little girls do. Are you a girl? Are you a little sissy? They used to call you a sissy if you cry. Tell me, anybody in the chat, tell me I'm lying if a teacher never called you a sissy for crying.
They would say it to the face of the child.
They would say it to you as a child, and if your mom came up there, they'd say it to the mom. Hey, you know, he was in class crying like a little sissy in the 90s. Everybody said, yeah, he right. Yeah, I'm telling you. Kel says he's not lying.
I would love those times because I prefer it.
I had an old white teacher. Her name was Miss Rubin. She was my kindergarten teacher. She must have been born like in 1900. She used to pinch the shit out of us. My mom saw those pinch marks and said, you must have been bad in school. Because why else would she be pinching you? See, that's how the 90s were.
Yeah. Now it's like, oh, you can't do anything to my kid.
If Miss Rubin now was a white woman pinching a little black kid, oh, they would try to imprison her. They'd say she's racist. They'd make up something. But in the 90s,
you feel like you were attacked?
No, we were bad. Look, in the 90s, listen, I had first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, I had a black teacher. All of my teachers, now mind you, it wasn't really that bad, but all of my teachers, you got out of line, they may slap you a little bit. They may pinch you. Man, you do that now. These parents that come up there and shoot one of these teachers. See, it was
that's true. Yeah. I used to get hit with a ruler on my hands. Yeah. Like I went to Catholic school, so when I was younger, I went to a private Catholic school, and we used to have to put our hands out and get stung, get our hands stung.
Yeah, but that's how it was back in the day. Well, I got to get up out of here. Guys, thank you so much for coming over to Lapeef Politics. This has been a great show. I learned a lot about Iran. Hit a 1 in the chat if you think Iranian women are a 7 and above on average.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're super hot. Iranian women are very nice looking. I will admit that.
They do look nice. I'm not.
They look very nice. They're like the Scandinavians of the Arab culture.
Yeah, they're Aryan.
Oh, they're Aryan.
That's where white people originated. So if you don't know, the original white people originated in Iran, around the Caucasus area, the Caucasus Mountain areas. So this is why the term Caucasian comes from, because the Caucasus Mountains are around there. That's where the original white people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
This is why they call Middle Easterners white, because originally, like, if it wasn't for Middle Easterners, white people wouldn't exist.
Oh, okay. So. Jay Boss says, thank you, CT in the Mirror. You're among my top 10 favorite logical-minded people in the world. Thank you so much, Jay Boss. Guys, thank you again for all the super chats. Iranian women are like the equivalent of Sudanese women for black people. You always have like super hot people in different racial groups. Like in the black race, definitely Sudanese women are the best looking.
They're so hot.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's a country where people are literally just walking around and they're just all models. White
Ethiopian women too.
Ethiopian women are they're pretty hot. Yeah, I'll admit that.
They are hot.
They're not that tall though. That's why I don't really.
Oh yeah.
But they're pretty hot. Eritrean women are the same as Ethiopian. Vic says so. Yes, white people came from Arabs.
Yes.
White Arabs are white. Yeah.
That's where it came from. That's the original white person. The first white person to ever exist was Iranian, in the Iranian area, the Caucasus area, Caucasus Mountain. So this is why they're called Caucasian. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me see.
Somalians are gorgeous, says Uma.
Hi,
Uma. Assalamu alaikum.
I don't like Somalis. Yeah, I don't like them at all. Not in a bad way. Tariq said the original Arabs were black. Oh, here we go.
Oh, gosh.
Wayne says, when it comes to poom poom, I don't see color. I'm assuming Wayne is Jamaican. I think that's a Jamaican word for coochie. But salute to you.
Is that what that is?
I think that's what it is. Poom poom. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Let me see. Vic says, so barbarians and Anglo-Saxons descended from Arabs.
Well, I mean, we could say the same thing about every other race too that has bad people that come along. Yeah, you descended from somebody. So yes, people have descended from some people. Yes,
absolutely. Amir, thank you so much. This has been an awesome live stream. I can't wait for you to come on my live stream as well. Guys, thank you so much for staying this entire time and joining in on the chat. Please look into the whole situation in Iran. Um, we got to stop just talking about America. Let's talk about other things. America's not America. Amira, salute to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait 1 second. Vic
Yeah.
asked, like, who said anything about bad people? A barbarian. I mean, do you know the term barbaric? Barbarians are not known to be, you know, elegant or what's it called? Intelligent people. They're not, you know. Anyway, I wanted to ask you,
Yo.
Chaotic, when is your show on your channel?
Well, I'll be doing one tomorrow. I will be doing one on Thursday, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Um, and generally, every day but Tuesdays. Yeah,
Okay. All
absolutely.
right
Thank you
then.
so much, Amir. This has been an awesome
Thank you,
show.
guys.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the Lapeef Politics. I'm Chaotic Truth. I hope that somebody from Iran was watching this. Do not fall for that feminist nonsense. Stop those women in their tracks. Stop them. You don't want that. You don't want what's going on in America over there. You don't want that debauchery over in your country. Stop it in its tracks right now. Salute to everybody that came out. I rock with you guys. Driscoll, thank you so much. Thank you guys for all the super chats as well. Guys, I'm out of here. Peace.